What's going on?
All right, we are back, dude. This is Torn Between Two Brothers. We are in episode 22. And
22, dude. Can you believe it's been 22 freaking episodes? 22 episodes just means 22 weeks, which is insane that we pumped out that much.
Yeah, it's been about, with cancellations of podcasts, we've been going on for 5 months now, and nothing more than to bring on a fucking dope guest that we've known for the past decade. We were just talking about it. Nik Hampshire, all the way from California. And dude, I wish I had my hype button. I lost it.
So before we even let Nik talk in this podcast, we have to do a quick PSA for all of you guys watching and listening. So if you guys are listening, please subscribe. Or me and my brother are going to start a joint OnlyFans account where we do sibling pictures and videos at your pleasure for $15 a month. If you would like to prevent this, please subscribe to our channel and leave a like or comment. And with that said, we have our OnlyFan right now as our guest. Nik Hampshire, the man, the legend, the model, the photographer, the content creator, as said in his Instagram bio. Who you are.
That's me. I'm Nik Hampshire. Hello. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. It's about time.
I know. I think one of the things we talked about, which kind of like didn't work with schedules, and then also at the same time, the issue was the last podcast I had was involving drinking, and you're completely sober, correct?
Yeah, straight edge since I was 14. So
meaning you did something at 14 and stopped from that point on?
No, people always kind of assumed it was like oh, you must have been a crazy 14-year-old. Like, no, like, I mean, I did. I had like a shot of Jack Daniels. It's like the only time I drank alcohol when I was 14, and I was like, I'm okay. and then I got into the straight edge hardcore music scene, and I just like kind of fucked with that. So I just kind of pursued that lifestyle, and then, you know, as you get older, you know what I mean, like, it just like every now and then I would like revisit it, and I'd like kind of pros and cons it, and I'd be like, the pros to not drinking far outweigh the cons, like the pros of drinking, like on every level. And like, honestly, like my energy and shit has always been like fine without alcohol, especially since I had to develop without it. So yeah, man, every time I kind of revisit, I was like, like I'm cool.
Yeah. Does it get to a certain point? Cause I know when I was about your age that you identified as being like straight edge, I think I was around that time. I didn't want to do anything either. And in terms of like drugs, I never really experimented with anything like that. But I think alcohol came over time. So I guess a question to ask off of that is, like, I know you say you kind of revisit it every so often. Do you think you'll ever get into it? Or is it just like, as long as you feel like refraining from it, you're going to refrain from it?
I mean, basically that, like, if the day would come that I was interested, I guess I would. But honestly, alcohol, like, if there of anything out there that is like available, especially now in California, like alcohol is like pretty low on the list. Like, it just like I'm not gonna lie, it's just like I'm like letting you guys in on a little secret ever. Nik Hampshire did get high recently for the first time ever. I did. Yeah, well, listen, okay, we're on lockdown 2 months. I'm in California with like the best bud in all of
the world.
Like literally, I can almost see the weed store from my window. Like, and my best friend Clyde came out to visit while we were in pandemic. So like the whole city was shut down. I'm like, dog, we can't really do anything except like, we went out skateboarding a little bit, came back, and we were just like sitting inside. And I was just like, I'm gonna, why don't we just get, like, he was getting weed. He already bought the weed. I was like, you know what, dude, let's make your trip memorable. I will smoke with you this one time. And it was like pretty good. Like, I mean, honestly, we had like the one I tried, it was like too much weed, dude. It was like 27% THC or whatever, and it was like keef all over it, bro. I was just really.
But you're speaking to non-smokers, so even if you said 500%, like
right, yeah,
like
yeah,
okay, that's strong.
Apparently that's a lot. Okay, so, but yeah, man, I was like, I guess I've been taking for granted how in control of my brain I am. Like, it just is.
Yeah.
So I just started, dog, when I was high on weed, I was like it was like, even my friends, I'm like, dude, like, this is like major weed. So like, even like a experienced smoker, this is like heavy weed. So for a new smoker, like, dude, my brain could only handle one thought at a time. like
literally
thinking the thought and speaking it is 2 thoughts. So that was difficult. So like I'm literally like, and then even trying to think, even like thinking of connecting the 2 thoughts is a 3rd thought. And so dude, it was impossible. I felt very uncomfortable.
That's so funny. Yeah, I like because you see all these like viral videos on YouTube where it's like grandma tries weed for the first time, and like then you see them like, I don't know how much of it is acting or how much of it is true, but it's funny that that's like you knowing what weed does to people and you being around it. What like obviously I'm not saying like you're actively around it, but I mean like in human nature.
Yeah.
You see how it affects people, and then it hits you, and it probably hits you harder than most people for the first time. So it's just interesting to see how.
And dude, honestly, that was so. I kept like, obviously, weed does like obviously make you giggle and make shit funny. But honestly, like the funniest part of it was that I could tell the things that were happening weren't funny, but I was still trying not to laugh at them, and that was making me laugh. So like, dude, it was just like I was just falling through loopholes of like thinking in my brain.
Yeah, it was like it was sort of like a meta concept in terms of like,
but entirely inside. Yeah, 100%. Like literally, I was like, that wasn't funny, and I was like, ooh. And then like I would like try to stop myself from laughing because it wasn't funny. But now I'm laughing at trying not to laugh, and it's just like layers of like I'm like falling through my own head.
It's so funny.
I recorded 2.5 hours of it just so I could like go back and check it out.
Watch. I would not want because we don't smoke, so like I feel like I would never want to revisit like that moment if it was bad. Like
I just needed to. No, it wasn't a bad experience. It was like for me, it felt very. I felt like a waste. Like I didn't do it. Like I wanted to watch a TV show. I couldn't handle that. I wanted to play my video. I was playing God of War at the time. Couldn't handle that. Like, but again, this was like really strong weed.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like my brother and other people like, dog, you try like regular ass weed, you probably would have had a better experience, but like you got too high. And I was like, all right, cause yeah, that was a lot. So it was like a unique experience. I'm not mad at it, but like I was definitely ready for it to be over long before it was over. Even into the next day, I was having a hard time picking the words out of my brain properly. Like I'd go to pick the word and I'd be like, it's not coming to me.
It's not.
And I think that's the thing that younger kids are missing too, is that like when you get older and you obviously your intelligence increases, you're so freaking aware, I feel like, that you're under the influence. I know like when I was younger, especially for drinking, like when I knew I was drunk was when I stood in front of the mirror. I would go to the bathroom. I think Justin and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
I would go to the bathroom. I would stand in the bathroom and I'd be washing my hands and I'd look in the mirror and I'm like, holy fuck. And now, I don't know, it's like a different experience now that I'm older. I know I'm only 26 and I'm like relatively young to most people, but it's just like a different experience that like gravitates with age.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I really don't know how differently things would have ended up had I pursued that avenue with my life. Probably very, to be honest. But honestly, like I said, like I've always felt really blessed to have like a good chemical balance in my brain. And I never really wanted to fuck that. Like I've always been outgoing. Like I don't need alcohol to like be social. I don't need weed or drugs to be creative. Like I just always had that energy going anyway. So I never really wanted to fuck with that in case of like tilting the scales and fucking it up and then, you know, ruining my equilibrium.
Yeah.
Though my brother was actually saying like, dude, that makes you like a perfect candidate to do drugs because it's typically like people that have a problem already with the balance, like they are not good with drugs because it keeps fucking them up. But like if you're naturally balanced, you can tweak it and you'll come back to the level. I was like,
yeah,
that's funny. You don't even think about it that way. I guess so. Yeah. In a certain aspect, that does kind of make sense. Your brother has definitely good points on that.
So being out here, I'll say like I'm not super interested in pursuing weed by any means. Like I don't think I might try an edible. Like my brother always kind of wants me to like do drugs with him. He never pressures me, but it's like an experience I think he would have liked to have shared.
Yeah.
But my brother and other people, like I mean, documentaries and everything about it right now, really, really pushing the significance of psychedelics. So like I'm very like possibly considering trying like mushrooms or something. We'll see.
One thing I wanted to get in. Oh
no, go ahead. You're good.
One thing I wanted to get into, I kind of just wrote down notes to just talk to you about in general. Just kind of have you plug yourself and have you talk a little bit about the things that fascinate me, like just watching you over the years. So obviously you've had blossoming modeling career, at least from my point of view. You can say different about yourself because you're being humble. And but I think one thing I love about you is your actual content creation. I kind of talked about it in my Instagram story briefly, where I think one of the smartest things, one of the most entertaining things to watch is your Instagram stories, where you request people to send in like secrets or questions to you, or ask for advice. And I think that's like the coolest thing to be able to connect with your audience, because it's you being genuine and like having an honest reaction from like your perspective, and you're not trying to be like Dr. Phil, you know what I mean? You're just being yourself, and it's almost like the game where like someone says a word and you have to say the first word that that comes to mind. And I find it just so brilliant the way you were able to just capitalize on, because you don't see it with a lot of people. You see a lot of people asking Instagram for questions or truth is and stuff like that. But what sparked that idea, and how do you, how did you come up with that idea? Two, do you feel it helps with your connection with fans, or only pulls in the more like eccentric people? And then three, how do you think it's grown your brand? If all three of those, I figured they all kind of intertwine anyways.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know, like, I mean, I guess I just thought of it because, you're doing, it's set up as a questions thing where people can ask you questions, and I'm like the one that they're following. So that typically is, I guess, the way you would see it going, is like, I am the person you're following. So you would ask me stuff to answer so that you can learn more about me. And to be honest, man, like the whole Instagram platform is interesting to me because, like, despite like what my profile and like being a model kind of thing is, like, I'm not a particularly like egotistical person. Like, honestly, even when I started doing modeling on Instagram and stuff like that, like I was really bothered by like my page just being all photos of me. Like, I have to look at it every day, and like that's weird to me. Like, I'm not that vain of a person. So I used to, back when Instagram was like a little bit like not so crazy with the algorithm, every other photo was not me. Like this would be a photo of me, the next one would be like where I was in the world. So I used to do a lot of traveling and stuff. So when you went to my page, it was like my adventure and me, not just like, look at my face, look at my face, look at my face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the whole idea, I've had to change that, unfortunately, because Instagram's algorithm started messing with stuff, whatever. So I had to post what was getting the most likes, which is my face. So that's why it is that now. But I've always tried to tweak with that a little bit. Like even back when I was doing kind of like those like, videos, I was just kind of talking straight to the audience, where if, you're looking at my face, but at least I'm trying to throw some like life knowledge to you, whatever that I've acquired. So anyway, my whole idea with the question thing was like, I was like, how can I like flip the script a little bit where like, I'm appreciative of all the attention you guys giving me. Like, let me like learn a little about you. You know what I mean? So like, give me your secrets, tell me stuff that you can tell. Like, it's interesting that with the secrets, because there's been a couple of websites out there, like Post Secret, I think was one. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Oh yeah.
Or there was another one when it was called like.
Are you talking about Ask FM?
That was another one.
Okay.
No, not that one though. But there's been a couple. Basically, anyway, like people can post just like anonymous secrets, and like there's just something about like being able to tell somebody that has no connection to your life whatsoever. Like even if you're not looking for advice, just being able to like tell somebody something that you can't tell anybody else is really like empowering and relieving. You know what I'm saying? Cathartic even. So I think like just the fact that I'm allowing people to do it, like regardless of my reaction, is something that people like really responded to, and I think that's why it's been popular. I think people watch it and like come back because of the reactions that I give. Like obviously, I try to be sincere when they're looking for a sincere response or a sincere response. But if it's I get like people being thirsty and shit like that, then I can be funny. And so it is just like very me, and that's really fun. And I think it's well received because it is just me, and people seem to think I'm entertaining, which is really fun and great for me. And it's just really, honestly, that's like my favorite part of Instagram. I rarely even, especially right now where I'm not like able to create a lot of content like photo wise for the feed. The stories is just something I can do when I have, when I'm just chilling around and have the energy to go at it. And I don't know necessarily if I'd say it helped my brand grow. Like honestly, I've been losing Instagram followers for the past like 2 years. I was at like 58 at my peak, and now I'm at like, I just dropped under 46. So I've lost like 10,000 followers in 2 years. So I don't know if it's helped me grow, but the people that are watching, always say, dude, I get so
You're
many
more
messages of
engaging.
people. Cause like, dude, I get a lot. And so like literally my story will be like 50 little ticks long. And I get people almost every time like, dude, I don't watch anybody's stories. And I watch every single one of these fucking ticks. Like they tune in for the whole thing, which to me, like as an Instagram user who always does the same thing, like, bro, you got like 6 stories. I'm like, no. Like, but the fact that people were like, yo, I fucking watch all of that shit. Like that means a lot to me. That tells me people that's organic. I mean, that's like people just really want to tune in and see what the fuck I'm doing with that. So that's really cool. And I like that. So I appreciate you saying that.
I think I find the thirst ones the funniest thing. It's like literally people like just hollering at Nick like through his like
it's a semi-public like DM slide, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like literally like, oh, I find you really hot, or like let's hook up. And I want to like kind of correlate that to Simp Nation. We did it. So simp, I don't know, do you know the lingo of the kids nowadays, what a simp is?
No.
Okay, so simp is a guy who puts too much effort to please a girl and get nothing in return.
Oh, okay.
And we know a lot of those. And us as the world we did it because Doja Cat and Nicki Minaj both got their first #1 hit on Hot 100 because Doja Cat tweeted, if Say So hits #1, I'll show you guys my boobs really hard.
Really hard, dude. I love Doja Cat, dude. She's so fucking funny.
It's so funny because after everyone was like, hey, like like people were like hitting her up while she was IG live and everything, and then she's like, you got fucking played, look at yourself. Fucking played. And I find it so funny because if you've kind of watched the growth of Doja Cat, that's kind of like how she plays her game. She's very in that meme culture, especially on Twitter, especially on all media. She knows how to play that. I just found it funny that she reached out to the simps of the world to do it. And I even saw like people posting videos of them with like 30 iPads all playing Say So like on repeat and stuff like that. I don't know. I figured I'd just kind of, I don't know. Are you, well, Brian, if you want to chime in, because I feel like me and Nick are just taking a walk down memory lane. But if you want to pop in and say
I'm being exceptionally quiet because my pets have just entered the room. And one of them is extremely loud, and Joanna's currently like scattering around the room trying to get them out. No, it kind of reminds me of Justin Bieber. I know we had talked about that. Justin Bieber like saying, hey, try to get me to #1, but like now people actually have a reason because like Doja Cat just recently got popular, so they're like, yo, we're going after those nudes, you know?
And just to preface the Justin Bieber thing to Nick, if he's not aware, Justin Bieber posts on Instagram, play my music all night long, like through the night at like 5% volume because it still counts as a play. And like shared, like it was almost like a Justin Bieber fan page that like said all the ways you could cheat the system. And he shared that to his Instagram to try to boost up all of his plays against Roddy Ricch's The Box. So, with you, okay, one thing I wanted to correlate it. Talk about Doja Cat, and then I'll ask you a follow-up question. I want to know your like input on Doja Cat as a whole and this marketing scheme.
Word. No, so I was vaguely aware of Doja Cat kind of early on. I was actually following a photographer whose name escapes me at the moment, but he directed. I think he directed the music video for her song Downtown, I think. Okay. But before I even heard the song, I like saw the visuals and stuff, and I was following him, so I never heard of her or anything like that. And that was that. And then honestly, I forgot about her. I didn't really think anything of her until what's that? Is it called Moo? Is it just called Moo?
The Moo. The cow song.
Cow. Yeah. So I fucking loved that song. Like I thought, like to me, it was genius in the sense, like for the viral aspect of it, and like to me, I've always found it so fascinating because I'm not like as good as I am at certain things on the internet. I cannot for the life of me figure out the like threading the needle of like lo-fi, like a graphic that's like lo-fi or like just the right amount of like. Bad resolution and like pixelated and like it's just bad like memes. You know what I mean? Like whenever I try to make a meme, my meme like the imagery is always like good imagery and shit. And I always say,
4K. You got a 4K meme coming out.
It has to look bad. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Why is that good? And so I've never been able to, but like Doja like just knows that she speaks that language perfectly. So that video to me, especially with all like the haters on it, my dog, like you can hate all you want. This girl's racking up plays. Like sonically, the song is banging.
Yeah,
like, the words are nonsense, but that's funny. But like you can definitely tell she's talented as far as music goes. Her understanding of meme culture and internet is like genius level, top tier right here. Like this is a genius at work right now. Like I don't care what you want to say. Like she knows exactly what she's doing and she fucking nailed it. So
it's very reminiscent of Lil Nas X, like his their knowledge of meme culture. I don't know if you've followed Lil Nas X with how he promotes himself, but it's all based around meme culture and like tweeting out like borderline stuff. Like even on April Fools, he tweeted that April Fools. I'm like he was saying that he wasn't gay.
Yeah, right.
Use that as an April Fool's joke, and then everyone jumped on, and obviously the people that are supporting both sides or whatever, like just found it funny or whatever, regardless, you know, it was anti-him or anti-gay or whatever, like people gravitated to it because it was hilarious. And like I said, it's that fine threading the needle line that like, it's really hard to accomplish that.
And you know what's funny about that is that both artists got a following mostly, well, I would say Doja Cat rode the TikTok train, but both of them got clout from TikTok, and TikTok is just like a perfect representation. I know we talk about it every single episode, but it's a perfect representation for a young demographic, and everyone on that platform is trying to find the algorithm and play with it to be able to thread the needle. And Doja Cat and Lil Nas X like excelled. I think Say So is probably the top song recommended when you go into videos to make a TikTok. They push Say So because she's been trying to get the top #1 with that song. So it's absolutely crazy to see those people that just gracefully have a passion and know how to do it, because that's something that I want to learn how to do too. You know what I mean? Especially with the podcast, with I have a TikTok account that I am too old for, but I try. But these people like Lil Nas X and Doja Cat know their shit and are happy to share it with others, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it's funny seeing Jason Derulo on TikTok, who's just hopping on the trend of like the pretty boy and pretty girls, like that rise to the top of TikTok. Like Jason Derulo has just like slid into there and just like, you know, optimize like his views based on that demographic of his music that he performs. With Doja Cat. So Doja Cat offered to show her boobs, and one way
really hard
Hampshire is marketing
really
himself. Huh?
She said she'd show her boobs real hard.
And
like,
Nick,
that's part of the joke.
Nick
dude.
is
like,
marketing himself
how does one
real
show
hard
boobs
too.
Real hard. Like that is like again, like if she just said like get it to #1, I'll show my boobs. Like that's not funny. Show your boobs real hard. That's funny. And even like kind of gives a hint that like she's obviously joking. But people like, and so in her like reaction video, she's like, she said it aloud. She's like, I just realized I have to show my boobs real hard. And I was like, that's so funny. It's just hilarious, dude.
And speaking of real hard, we have the man, the legend, Nik Hampshire, who started an OnlyFans account, and us
good segue.
Us being in relationships and probably not allowed to subscribe to an OnlyFans or know what an OnlyFans is.
That sounds real toxic, bro. You should look into that.
I would love to know the logistics and everything about OnlyFans as a whole. I know what it is. It's kind of a subscription-based content, I guess, is the best way to describe it. Like you kind of choose which people you want to subscribe or follow, and then you pay monthly premium. It's almost like premium Snapchat in a way, but it seems more on a professional level from the stuff that I've seen. But I figured I'd poke your brain about it, because outside of that, I don't know anything.
Yeah. So OnlyFans is the #1 supplier of fans in in North America. You can buy any kind of fan you're looking for.
I was literally taking you seriously for a second too until I realized the joke that you were making. I was like, oh yeah, he describes himself as a fan, and then I'm like, no, he's literally talking about fans.
I was like, you're not catching it. I have to keep going.
I would have loved. You need to. I don't know if like that's a normal joke, but like you guys, you need to have like fan manufacturers like on deck, like be like Kenmore fans.
No. All right. So, but it's a lot like Patreon, which I tried a couple years ago as well. It's essentially for any kind of creator, like content creator, or like, I mean, really any profession where you are creating something that people want to support you and see what you're doing, I guess. So like, you know, chefs can be on there, you know, workout people with like workout routines and stuff like that. You know, any kind of artist or anything like that where they're looking for a way that, you know, they have a following and their following fucks with them enough to support them. This platform gives the people that follow them a means to support them financially and also get something from them as far as like whether they're just watching how they create the content or how to work out or how to cook, whatever. Now, obviously, that's very useful for like the sex worker market because that's what sex workers do is they provide content. Yeah. So I tried Patreon a couple years ago. It went okay. I was really kind of I really did not want to like cross the line into sex worker work, not for any sort of like moral standpoint, but simply because like commercially speaking, which I do modeling and I work for like Diesel and stuff like that. So like typically it's pretty hard if you're doing like sex work stuff to like then get also work as a commercially viable like candidate. You know what I mean? Like if there's pictures of you naked on the internet, brands.
So it's frowned upon, and
yeah. You mean they're just not going to fuck with you like that.
It's very easy to Google search someone or
exactly. So now I had done nude modeling before, and I really like nude modeling, but I specifically kind of avoided anything like overtly sexual because I'm a big proponent of just like nudity for the sake of nudity and like, you know, the beauty of the human body and like, you know, if you want to watch nudity with sexuality, there's a lot of content like that already existing. You know what I'm saying? So I was doing like art and or like not. I don't want to differentiate sexual nudity as not art, but I was doing like human form art and like that kind of stuff. Anyway, and I had people come and they followed me on Patreon for a little while, but when they realized I wasn't jerking off on camera, they left because that's pretty much what they were looking for.
No way, huh?
Yeah. So it went okay for a couple, like maybe I think I did it for about 6 months. I think the most people I had at any time was like 30 fans, and it slowly started dwindling. So I cut it after about 6 months. That was a couple years ago. So now fast forward here, OnlyFans is going, and now OnlyFans actually has a bit more of a social media aspect to it, where like people can comment on the posts and like them, and you can send private messages and stuff. So it is kind of like its own like community on there, and there is a lot of sex workers on there. Just putting content. So it's kind of where like everyone goes on to like be a little pervy, but it's like acceptable, you know what I'm saying? And so I've just been home. I've been out of work for about 2 months, and I don't know how much longer this is gonna go. I wasn't sure if I was gonna get unemployment at the time. So I was just like, dog, like I better set this up now while I have like time to kind of get it built up in case I need it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't need it right away, but like in case I do, I want to have it already in place so I can like start making money as soon as I need to. So I made an OnlyFans. It's still like a lot of the art nude stuff that I was doing before, but it is a little bit more personal stuff where like I will just like snap a selfie with my fucking dick out and shit like that or whatever. So to be honest, it's pretty fun and funny. Like I'm a pretty sexual person by nature, so it has been actually pretty fun to like have a place to share that aspect of myself. And also it is hilarious to me that like my brand was so close to that anyway, that like it's not like I was low-key expecting like some backlash where I started advertising it, people being like, dude, what are you doing? Or like, I don't know, my mom or dad calling me like, yo, so-and-so said that you're so-and-so online. But like my brand was like so close to that anyway already. People are like, oh yeah, like I think people
that makes sense.
I was already doing this. So they're like I literally have gotten not a word of like dissent from anybody. Like no one's even said boo about it.
Well, you were doing that anyway, and like OnlyFans literally like met you halfway, and now you're able to do your content threw it that way. I was curious when you were talking about the platform. You said it was like kind of close to for lack of a better word, like a sexualized social media. Are you able to comment and like on posts that you haven't subscribed to, or you need a subscription and then you're able
have to subscribe first?
Gotcha.
Okay.
But it's interesting because here's how it works. So you kind of have a couple different options, like ways you want to go about it. So as the creator, I set how much the subscription is, so y'all would have to pay that to see it. Yeah. And then once you're already a member, then I just I make posts as frequently or as infrequently as I want. They can be free like that. I can also send y'all I can send all my subscribers private messages en masse. So I can let's say I make a new video. Yeah. I can send that to every one of my followers, but it'll be locked. It'll be like, if you want to see this, send me $10 or send me, some people charge $50 for videos like that, whatever. Oh, wow. So here's where it gets kind of interesting, because it's like, you can kind of go one way where you can kind of, I have a friend who put her subscription rate at $50 a month, and all her content is free. She posts full videos and everything like that. So she posts everything for free, but you just have to pay the $50 to get on it. I've seen a lot of other people, and honestly, the most successful people on there are typically charging anywhere from $3 to $12. But then, so they'll give some free content while you're subscribing in the main feed. But then you'll be getting messages being it'll be a 20-second preview and be like, oh, if you want the whole video, it's $20. And then they make, so while the subscription fee is that low,
it's mobile gaming all over again. It's mobile gaming.
Yeah, so they're it's like microtransactions.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
Dude,
I was thinking about
funny.
that. Which is
and dude, they make so much money. A lot of people, like I said, and it's so easy too, dude. I fell for it myself because you'll be scrolling and people will advertise their friends with dude, the people that are really on it and really in it, they're making so much goddamn money, and they're all just sharing each other all the time. So you'll just be scrolling and somebody that I am following, be like, oh yo, check out my girl, blah blah. She has a sale going for $4, and the sample looks hot. I'm like, I got $4. You know what I mean? I didn't go out today. I didn't get no coffee. I got $4.
Yeah.
So you subscribe, and then you and then you be scrolling for a couple minutes later, and you're like, oh, there's another. I got $3. You know what I mean? And then before you know it, you spent $20. Whereas if you just saw one that was hey, $20, you're like, oh, I don't know if I got $20 right now, dog. But then before you know it, you spent 30 by nickel and diming your way up there. You know
so funny. Mm-hmm. That's literally I mean, think about the most successful games in general are the ones that push, a Fortnite, we could take as an example. The game is free, but to get exclusive skins and exclusive dances, you have to pay the microtransactions to get that content that no one else. That's so funny.
When you think about it, by nature, people have that FOMO, the fear of missing out, and the ambiguity behind here's a preview, but I'm not going to let you see the rest. It just entices people so much. I can guarantee it.
See the peak. It's like you're watching an Avengers movie and the major final fight is about to happen, and then you have to spend $5 to see it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't see it. I didn't watch an hour foreplay just to not see the end.
And then you can followers can tip pretty much any post as well. So if they just like the content a lot, they can drop a tip of whatever amount they want.
No way.
Oh wow.
So that's cool too. And then yeah, man, but it's insane, dude. I followed one girl the other day. She's charging, I think, $11 a month, and I went to her profile, and she currently has, I think, at the time she had 3.1 thousand followers.
Wow.
$11 a month. So she was literally, bro, I had to quadruple check the math. This woman is making $100,000 a month.
Wow. Holy shit.
That's before the microtransactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of control. And Patreon or OnlyFans takes 20% of that, so she's probably making around $80,000 after that comes out, and then obviously she has to pay taxes, but whatever. Yeah. But again, that's before micro. So literally, of her $3,000, if she sends out a video and says send me $15 for the video, even if 10% of the people buy, you know what I mean? She's easy, like I said, making $100,000 a month. Just fucking
holy shit,
fucking herself at home.
So what's the difference that you've seen from when you used to do this a couple years ago and you had 50 or so followers? What are you looking at now in terms of are you enjoying it just as much because your content hasn't changed? What's the differences between it? Because the first time I heard of OnlyFans was through Crystalia's podcast, and I had no idea, and he was explaining it before that, I had no idea what it was. So like how is it varying? How are you looking at it now in terms of you being out of work and using this as a source of income?
Well, like I was saying before, I think it's different from the Patreon stuff because the Patreon was like strictly like professional photographs of like non-sexual nudity. So it's really like I can't really imagine anybody going there to like wank. You know what I mean? Like you pretty much be going to view to see like art. You mean you'd go, you'd admire the art, and then you go do something else, whatever. OnlyFans is definitely like most of the people on there, like whether they're to wank or not, but like they're there to be turned on. You know what I mean? It's definitely a different. That's probably why. Again, that's why my Patreon I think didn't do that well because people were going there hoping to get turned on into wank, and then they were like, oh, like it's just art. Like the art's cool. But that's not really what I was looking for.
It's not worth it.
So now that I am offering that kind of content, people are fucking with it a little bit more. Plus, like the social component, I think like there's a lot more people on there, and I'm like friends with some more people on there. Like there's a lot more people that I know on it, so we've been able to like share each other's profiles a bit. So that's got me some. So right now, like I think it's been like a month, like today, or within the next couple of days, it'll have been like 30 days pretty much. And I have like 120 subscribers on there, $15 a month.
Wow.
So, Christ,
good for you, man. That's fucking awesome.
It's really dope. I really was. I was hoping my lofty goal was 100 because again the Patreon only did about 30, 40, whatever. So I was like realistically I expect 50. I'm hoping like I would love to get 100, and now I'm like already at like 130. Now who knows how many are gonna resubscribe for the next month? Like a lot of people, like even myself, sometimes I'll subscribe for the 1 month. I'm like, all right, cool, I saw it, whatever, and then I unsubscribe after that. So we'll see how many people renew for the next month. But, I'm trying to think of ways to like keep people, coming back for the following month and stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. But even if it was just this month and even if it just fades from now on, that chunk that I made this month and then the fading will like still have made it well worth it, especially because it's just work I can do from home. You know what I mean? Like I'm literally just like sitting at home, like having a little bit of fun and like showing off a little bit, you know what I mean? So
it's literally like another social media profile, but you're getting money for it. Yeah. And you're enjoying the content. So why not, Like,
and that's the thing too. It's like, there are people, like I've had people like asking for specific content or whatnot, and like I don't know, like I don't really want to feel like I have to do this kind of stuff because like it's just not in my like between you and me and everybody watching, I did try camming once just for fun, just to see what it was like. Like this is like I was still living in New Hampshire. I was just curious. I've gone on the camming websites, but I've never like cammed before. You know what I mean? So I was just like curious what that was like, and bro, it gave me a really great appreciation for the girls that cam because like it's really hard work and it's like really mentally taxing to like put yourself out there for like others to like give you money and stuff, and like you have to like give them what they're asking for. It's a very like demanding, I don't know, unsettling power dynamic and stuff. You know what I mean? So it was a really weird experience, and I just have like a great appreciation for the girls camming. I think that I don't know why they're doing that. Like I feel like they could be making way more money doing the OnlyFans stuff, like way more for far less effort. Like I know girls that are on cam for like odd days, like it's a full-time job for them. 40 hours a week, and like they're making good money, but like I just feel like they could be making way more with these other ways. Well, like saving their time.
Well, instead of having a full-on conversation for a 10-hour day or 8-hour day or whatever, however long. You could just be kind of doing pictures and videos.
I mean, they're doing a lot more than conversations. Like, you know what I'm saying, dog?
Jeez, man, that's crazy. That's cool.
But it is interesting, man. I'll say one of the most interesting parts where I was like a little, I wouldn't say apprehensive, but like hesitant, I guess, is like it's kind of like a women's market for the most part. You know what I mean? I'm not gay. I'm not in the gay community. So I do know I have like a fairly like decent gay following. And I think at least half of my followers on OnlyFans are like gay men, I'm pretty sure. Which is like fine. I don't care. But like, I don't know. I just always feel like it's probably harder to market yourself, especially as a straight dude in like the sex worker area. You know what I mean? But it's been pretty interesting. A lot of the girls really are like encouraging and seeing a guy like in that area and stuff. I just like dead ass was like tired of seeing all these girls making all this money sitting at home. I'm like, I need to get in this money. Like this is insane. Like I got friends just like making like hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, just chilling at home. I'm like, I need to get some of that. You know
for the content that's so aligned with yours, especially.
Like close. I've never really been like so overtly sexual. Like on Instagram, I like jokingly am like. I mean, I am a sexual person, but it's more like for jokes, especially because, like I said, like my Instagram is a bit more professional, and I try to keep it like commercially viable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I try not to get too graphic. Anybody that's trying to be graphic, I use a little kind of like spin it into a joke or something. And so, I would say like on Instagram, I'll go like, if anything's getting kind of sexual, I'll get it like 40% sexual, 60% joking. But on like OnlyFans, it's like tipped. I mean, it's like it'll be like 30% joking, 70% sexual. Where like I can kind of like feed into that a little bit more,
Yeah.
Now, what's your handle for our blooming market for Nik Hampshire's OnlyFans account?
So I did make a different name for the aforementioned reasons, but it's actually an old name. It was my name on Tumblr. It's Ragged Dick, but with one D. So RAGGEDICK.
Based on a book.
Yeah. So wait, did you see that? Did you know? How'd you know?
Oh yeah. Oh no, I follow you. What do you mean?
Oh, why?
This conversation was coming up. I know. I do my research, man.
Yeah. No. I've only said that like in one story, so I didn't know if you caught that one story. I
I did. I was interested.
So
I was
really
very
funny.
interested because you like foreshadowed it a little bit, and I'm like, I'm actually pretty interested because like it's like obviously sexual. And then, but it's not
Yeah, so that was the point. So same thing on my Tumblr. So Tumblr, for anybody who doesn't know, it's like a social media thing. And I used to post like, there's a lot of like sex gifs and stuff on there, and like the porn. There used to be. It's all mostly gone now, but it used to be very like a sexual website, whatever. And so I came up with the name Ragged Dick, which is like again, like Justin said, it's like it's a kid's story from the 1800s about this like little fucking shoe shine boy who lives in the streets. His name's Richard. Calls himself Ragged Dick because he's a fucking raggedy kid, and his name's Richard. That's it. It's just Ragged Dick. That's the name of the stories. That's it. I always thought it was just kind of a cool character. It's a cool name, and so I started using it, and it's just so funny to me because it's like seemingly overtly sexual, but like no one can really place what it would be. Like what is a ragged dick? Is it a move? Is it? Are you talking about your dick? Like what is it? And
is your dick ragged?
yeah. And it's like also interesting because like I only have one D in it because when I was putting the thing together, I was like, the double D looks kind of weird, so I'm just gonna put the one D in the middle. It also helps differentiate it from the book. Yeah. But yeah, so then people are like, how do you pronounce it? Is it rage dick? Is it reggae dick? Like yaman, so people are always so like, I love hearing people like guess how to pronounce it, what it is, what it means, and they assume it's some kind of something sexual. Like I've had people it's my name on Steam still actually, and so people all the time ask me like what it is, and I've had people be like, "You're reported because your name." I'm like, "It's a kid's story, guys. I don't know what the problem is."
Yeah. You're like, chill, dude.
Dude, I've low-key always wanted it. Like I'm low-key trying to get like good enough at Rocket League to get to like be in a game that's being announced because like I so badly want the announcers to have to say Ragged Dick, like so badly.
Or
like,
Rage Dick or Reggae Dick.
Reggae Dick. Reggae Dick's going towards the ball and he fakes. Yeah, literally, dude. That's funny, man. That's crazy. So at Ragged Dick is what?
Or just onlyfans.com/Ragged Dick. One D.
1D. I think, Justin, do you want to take it to break real quick and then we'll come back? We're at almost 48 minutes.
No, let's do another topic. What the heck?
All right.
Why are you trying to pull us away? We're having a good conversation. This is what Brennan does. He breaks. He's like, hey.
No, you know what it is?
Now that our chemistry is perfectly aligned, would you like to take a break and completely ruin it?
No, I'm going to go on my rant of the day right now. This is what I'm going to do, is I'm going on my rant of the day that I try to make this podcast, since I have taken control over the past quarantine special podcast, I have tried to make it as structurally as possible because that's what Justin does. He structures all the podcasts out.
Because I used to be like the guy, the sound guy, video guy, everything. And now, like, Brennan has the better computer, so I said, you host it. And now it's in his hands to make sure it looks and sounds good.
Relaxing, dude. But no, fucking, I try to make it as structurally as possible because that's what he did. And then he would always ruin my flow, dude. And now that I got the reins, I try to fucking make it structured.
Go to break then. Go to break.
We're doing a topic. I actually wanted to get into something and kind of want to pick your brains because just as a question first to foreshadow, Nick, what kind of music do you listen to?
Fairly eclectic, I guess, but I would say primarily hip hop, pop punk from like the early 2000s.
Nice, dude.
Emo, screamo, hardcore. Mostly in that vein. Some pop, some electronica.
So you know 6ix9ine.
Like by name, I couldn't tell you a single song.
What? You don't? Oh, dude, 6ix9ine. All right, so I'm gonna give you a little backstory, and then I'm gonna get into it.
I know the story of 6ix9ine. I just don't know his music.
Okay. So I don't need to go into it too much, but he recently just got released.
He broke the Instagram, I heard. Yeah.
Yes. So he recently got released for like apparently it was asthma purposes. That was the final thing, but everyone originally thought that it was coronavirus. But so since he got released from prison, he just released a song that hit #1 on YouTube called Goomba, which featured him with an animated what?
Gooba.
Oh, is it Gooba? I wrote Goomba.
Yeah,
Gooba. Gooba. So he had an animated rat head by the end of the video, basically because everyone's calling him a rat because he snitched out.
Oh,
so
the
many
rat
people.
emoji is the fucking.
Oh yeah.
Bat.
Dude, it's such a good
troll,
clapback.
That is the best way to do it is to fucking have an emoji of a rat like replace you for.
Dude, so apparently since he's been out of jail, he's reportedly made $2 million off of his music and merch since he's been out of prison, and wanted to donate 10% of it to No Kid Hungry, which is an organization that obviously wants to end world hunger. And this was their response. So let me know after how you guys feel about this. They said, "We are grateful for Mr. Hernandez's general offer. As a child-focused campaign, it is our policy to decline donors whose activities do not align with our missions and values." And he said back on an Instagram post, he said, @NoKidHungry, rather than take food out of rather taking food out of children's mouths, I ain't never seen something so cruel. I try to say it in like a gangster accent. It didn't work. But yeah, dude. So I was curious what you thought about that, because he literally just got out of jail, made $2 million, and said, you know what? I'm going to give 10% of my earnings to end child hunger, because apparently it's something that he, wants to do. And I'm pretty sure he has a kid of his own with
his baby mama.
Yeah, his baby mama. I can't remember her name at the top of my head. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like, first of all, getting out of jail.
Real quick, I'll let Nick take the forefront of this. But he also broke 2 world records since he's been out of jail too. He had the most concurrent viewers on Instagram Live, which was over 2 million, which blew Tory Lanez out of the water when he had Drake on. It was like 800K or something like that before that. And then, probably, I think it's more 1.2 million, maybe. I whatever. Don't fact check me. I'm not looking it up. Over 2 million concurrent viewers, which is insane. And the most views for a video in 24 hours, beating Eminem's Kill Shot against MGK, which I think was like 38 million, and his video was hit like 43 million in 24 hours, which is inconceivable.
And went consistently into 80, I think 78 million when I looked at it last night, and that was 2 hours. It's
over 100 million.
Is it now?
Does that mean 6ix9ine has to show us his boobs real hard?
He fucking better, dude. But no, as a marketing strategic marketing ploy, 6ix9ine knows. I mean, as a troll, he knows better than anyone. So I was curious what you guys thought about him. Nick, I guess you specifically, his backstory and everything.
To be honest, I just have had like almost no interest in that dude like whatsoever. Like I heard I know the story. Like I only know what's like made it to me like peripherally, if that's a word. Like I've never. Yeah. I don't think I've like read any of the articles. I haven't watched any of his like interviews. I don't listen to his music. Like from what I've seen of him, like he doesn't sound like a dude that I really fuck with. Like I can understand why that charity would decline money from him. Like I don't know specifically what he did that would make them do that, but like I can understand
I know why
a company would do that.
Because he had that porn with that kid. He had a video of a minor too.
Yeah.
Hang on. So that I did research because I was speaking on it and I didn't want to be misspeaking. Apparently, and like not that this is like that much better, but like he was in the video while like it was like I think that she was like 17, the dude was like 19, so it was like a legal thing more than like a thing, and he was there like filming it, so he didn't actually do the act, which like I know we're like kind of splitting hairs, but I think there's a difference between the dude doing it and the dude like
first off, it's so funny because the just a side note, I'm just cracking up. The Matty Mo show post. Did you know that he got 200 grand, like rejected from the foundation, and then all of a sudden I see the comment go, message retracted, because he's probably on that like 2-minute delay or whatever. So he just saw that we started talking about F6ix9ine, but continue, Nick. Sorry.
Nah, that was it. So, but yeah, so like, I don't know, like, I wouldn't go as far as like, I know some, like, because of the headlines, the way it's been said and stuff, like people want to call him a rapist and shit like that. Like, it's I think it should be clear that he did not do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But his affiliation with that stuff is obviously like not something that they would want to be affiliated with. So to me, I get it. And like, that makes sense to me. I think that was like, a cool move of him to do. Obviously it's very beneficial to him to do that too. So it's not like, entirely altruistic, you know what I mean? Like give the whole $2 million if you're really trying to like do a thing, you know what I'm saying? But no, you know what I mean? Like whatever, I don't know. There are far more interesting and like relevant things that I put my mind towards than that dude. So yeah.
I feel you. A lot of people feel the same, and I think one of the most quotable things is that like he said, I forget where I saw it. It was probably a Snapchat story because he has like Tekashi 6ix9ine versus the world or whatever, and he said like people either love me or hate me, and that's why the clout I get. And I think your side is like, yeah, I ain't putting attention towards that guy. He does,
Yeah, I don't even hate
bad
him.
publicity is still publicity.
Yeah.
But I guess but that's what I'm saying. I guess I'm outside of that. So like, you either love me, him, I do. I neither. Like
That's what I mean.
Like,
yeah, you're one
outside
of
of it.
Yeah, 100%. I really could care. Like if he did 2 million on Instagram, like cool, man. Like do you like whatever. I'm not out here like putting him on blast, but I'm not following him with either. So yeah, whatever.
I feel you. All right, Justin, are we good to go to break, baby?
Yeah, you can go. You don't need to
go to break, baby.
One more. What the fuck?
All right, we will be back in 3 minutes. For those of you that are still in here, thank you. Nick, thank you. We'll be back in 3 minutes. I'm gonna set the timer now and we'll be back.
What's up, guys? How you doing? I don't know if we're back, but we're back.
We're back. Oh, we're back. We're always back.
So, for those of you tuning in, this is Torn Between Two Brothers, where we talk about what's the past, the present, the future, what's trending, what's new to us, and what's new to you. So without further ado, if you would like to support the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, because we need to throw that in at least 2 times a podcast. And without further ado, I would like to flip it over to our guest to give some educate us, give us a story. Give us a topic.
Cool. Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to talk about, I've been doing, I don't know if you guys have checked it all. One of the new projects I've been working on since I'm home with an abundance of time, and something that's important to me is discussing the discussion of aromanticism. I don't know if you guys have.
Yeah.
Yes, I was actually, I wanted to talk. I asked Justin before the podcast. I said, "Hey, should I talk about this, because I followed you on Instagram recently." And I thought I already had you followed for some reason, and I saw that, and I wanted to ask you almost to enlighten me, because I personally had never heard about that before. So,
yeah, most people don't. And so I started a YouTube. I already had my Nik Hampshire YouTube. I never really knew what to do on there. But since I've been home and actually have something kind of to discuss, I've been doing a series on it. So I first uploaded a video 2 years ago just because I had a lot of people on Instagram asking me about it, and Facebook whenever I post about it. So I was like, I'm just gonna do a video where I get it all out as much as I can and get people that way I could just send people to it, so that I don't have to keep answering the same thing over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So I posted that 2 years ago, and it's done pretty well. If you look up aromanticism online, it's one of the top viewed videos on the topic, which is pretty cool.
Oh,
wow.
And I'd say at least it's got, nothing super crazy. It's maybe 15,000 views. But
nothing super crazy.
Flexing.
We were just talking before,
nothing
humble
crazy
as fuck, dude.
bro, we were just 5 minutes ago, 6ix9ine has 42 million views.
That's so true.
15,000, you know what I mean? And so it's subjective. Anyway, so over the years, it's actually done pretty well. People continuously find it, with it being one of the higher viewed ones. I think Instagram or YouTube pushes it to the top. So when people are looking for aromanticism, they typically tend to find my video, and I've been getting a lot of comments on there and stuff. And it's it's really amazing to me how emotional people get within the comments about it, because it is such a weird thing to deal with, especially before you know what it is.
And not to cut you off, but just just before we dive into it, can you explain what it is? Just because.
Oh yeah, I was getting there. I was just kind of explaining. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want people to be like
No,
3 minutes
don't worry about it.
clueless and then like be like, oh, okay.
I got you. I'm kind of leading back into it. So, So I've been doing the series more recently just because we're home. We have a ton of time to kill, whatever. And so I've been like breaking down the concepts or whatever, my experiences, the minutia, I guess, of it, and how it differs from normal people, I'll say, lives. And it's been really good. Like there's been a pretty good response to it and everything like that. So to Justin's question, for those that don't know out there, aromanticism is a designation or basically how you relate with people where you do not have the orientation. Sorry, that was what I'm looking for. Is an orientation where you don't have the capacity for romantic attraction. So I typically like to explain it through asexuality first, just because it's a little bit easier to explain like what's sexual and not sexual versus what's romantic and not romantic.
Yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know, like the way you're attracted to people varies in a couple of different ways, and 2 of the main ones are romantically and sexually. So like, just because you find somebody hot and you think you might want to have sex with them doesn't mean that you're going to fall in love with them. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So these are clearly 2 different types of attraction. So that's important because a lot of times people think like they're always intertwined, and like but they're not. They're very not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so asexual people, for instance, and for just to clarify, like these are how people are born. The same way people are born gay or straight. Like while I understand that some people can experience trauma so severe that it can like make you operate in a way like this, that's not the normal way that people end up asexual or romantic. Typically, majority, as far as I know, it's just how you were born and how you develop. So an asexual person is a person that doesn't experience sexual desire for other people. They can still, from what I understand, some asexual people can still feel sexual attraction, like they might even still watch porn. Some of them still masturbate, but they're like not attracted to, like how gay people are only attracted to people of the same sex. Straight people are only attracted to people of the opposite sex. Asexual people aren't attracted to anybody, are sexually attracted to anybody.
Okay.
Excuse me. And so these people, like they just don't like, never when they're with another person, the way that you might like get turned on or the way you might like want to physically be intimate with someone like that, like it never occurs to them, it never happens to them, those thoughts don't cross their mind like that. And there's kind of a spectrum on how deeply that affects you with being in those circumstances, where some asexuals can still be sexual, it just doesn't do anything for them. Mm-hmm. Whereas some people are like sexually repulsed, meaning like if they were to try to be in a sexual relationship or situation, it would physically make them like repulsed by the circumstances. They're like physically withdrawn. Like in the same way that you might be sexually like repulsed by like being with someone you're not sexually interested in, they're not sexually interested in anybody, so they're literally like withdrawn, repulsed by that. But just because you're asexual doesn't mean you're aromantic. Sometimes they're together. So sometimes people like they're just basically platonic at all times. They have no interest in being romantically involved with anybody. They have no interest in being sexually involved with anybody. They are just cool as they are by themselves. They don't want anything more than that. They just want friends. Mm-hmm. Some asexual people, meaning they don't have sex, still can fall in love and want to be in a relationship. So it can be a bit trickier for them to find a partner that has those same needs, because if they're dating somebody that does require sex, that's a conflict of interest and it might not work out. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where it comes into where I was saying before, where some asexual people aren't sexually repulsed. So they could still maybe date a person. It's called allosexual, for those that don't know. So like if you're asexual, that means you don't have the sexual desire. People that do have sexual desire, like the 3 of us, presumably, are what they call allosexual. That means that you do like sex. Okay. So if an asexual person is not sexually repulsed, they could still date somebody and have sex with them. They're not really getting anything from it, so they might not like pursue it and like try and do it, but like because they know their partner wants it, they can do it for them.
Okay.
But if they're asexual and sexually repulsed, they probably cannot engage in sexual activity with a partner. So it would be really difficult for them to date somebody that needs that kind of sex or that kind of intimacy without maybe like a poly relationship where they can get that sexual gratification from somebody else. So I say that to flip it back to aromanticism now, because just like basically put the same kind of blueprint over romantic attraction. Mm-hmm. That's a bit harder to understand, I think, for a lot of people, because like what isn't sexual is a bit more objective. You know what I mean? Like obviously sex is sexual. You know what I mean? Like when someone's touching you sexually, it's a bit more objective compared to when it's not. Whereas romantically, like, it's very vague. It's very subjective. It's very like, you know, what I might think is romantic, you might not, you know what I mean? And so it can really be difficult to like interact with people and even casually date, because whereas I'm aromantic, I'm still allosexual, which means I'm still a sexual person, as I've previously discussed. So I still like to like casually date. I still like to have sex. I typically only have sex with like friends that I have like a casual like hookup thing with, but it's, you know, with friends usually. I mean, we just have a sexual component to our relationship, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, not everybody I hook up with is also aromantic. So sometimes, despite their intentions, they can still get feelings for me and stuff like that. And then it can become a bit complex and complicated because they're getting romantic feelings. And even if they're trying not to, if I feel in my mind that things are getting romantic, or like they're relying on me in a romantic fashion, I get very romantic repulsed. So literally I'll withdraw. Like, all my years of trying to date, like, you know, I started dating really when I was like 17. I tried dating a couple of different people throughout like my late teens and the early 20s, and it just never went well. My longest relationship was 8 weeks long, and that was like difficult to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just the repulsion sets in so quickly and so like significantly that like it's hard, because mentally I still like them. Like I obviously wanted to date them, and I still do want to date them, but it's just like physically inside, it's just like I need to be away from that person. Like I just can't be around them. They just literally, it's grating. Their personality, their actions, to touch them is like, or them touching me is grating to me. It's like, it's weird, man. It's really frustrating when I was trying to do that kind of thing. Because I thought, you know what I mean? Like you grow up thinking that like everybody can fall in love, you know what I mean? And like that's what everyone is pursuing. Like that's the number one thing you want to do, you got to do, and everyone is capable of it. And then so it's a really weird realization to kind of be like, why isn't this working for me? Am I broken? Which, if you guys go through any of the comments on my videos, that's like a massive popular thought that a lot of aromantic people have, is like, I'm broken, or, you know, a lot of times we get accused from partners that we're robots because we're not sharing that same feeling with them. And while we're in this period of like not understanding ourselves because we don't know that this is an option, we are like susceptible to like, maybe I am like kind of a robot. Maybe my fucking emotions don't work well at all, you know?
I think one of the things I enjoy, because I did kind of peruse, just because I do a little bit of research on our guests, and I think one of the interesting things, and I'm sure Brian will find it interesting too, is the fact that there's such a big aspect of love in our general pop culture, in movies and music and video, just everything
literally everything,
an aspect of love to it. So to know that at an extreme or in large quantities you're romantically repulsed by these ideas and concepts is just very interesting to be almost engulfed by it, because like you said, the main thing that some people are driven by is to find and pursue love, which is something that isn't, or romanticism isn't what it is, you know?
Yeah, man, it's really wild, because like you're saying, like we're literally inundated from like the time you're born, you see your parents typically together, you know what I mean? So day one you're seeing, and then like even like kids cartoons, like there's usually some kind of love interest, you know what I mean? Whether they're holding hands or kissing or something, or, you know, your parents are even like, oh, is that your girlfriend? Like, like every way so you look, romance is shoved down your fucking throat, and like you just assume that like you know, it's the same thing with asexual people though, because, you know, once you get a certain age, everything's about sex, you know what I mean? Like everyone's talking about sex. That's like, you know, when you're meeting like new coworkers, whatever, everyone's talking about sex, talking about who you hooked up with, blah blah blah. And so as I'm not asexual, but I've talked to asexual people, I'm like, dude, it's like really difficult sometimes to like understand yourself and your place in society when like you are not sharing that same experience that the majority of people are. And so similarly, as an aromantic person, it's just like, you know, everyone's talking about falling in love and everything like that. And before I knew it was aromantic, I was like, dude, I just don't know. Like, it's just not, whatever y'all experiencing, I am not experiencing that. And it's weird to like think that, because, you know, before I knew about aromanticism and that there were other people experiencing this, it's just like, all right, like, how can I be the only one that's not sharing this experience? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, it's like, oh, I must be broken. Like there must be something wrong with me. And like, what is it? But it never felt like it was a trauma thing. Like I never, you know, it wasn't like I was like, people were like, oh, you're scared of commitment. I was like, I was usually the one pursuing the partner. Like I was always the one, like, cause conceptually it sounds fun, like in the way everyone like, you know, the things people do for love, like it must
On
be
paper,
amazing.
yeah, it sounds great. Yeah.
It must be fucking amazing for people to do the things that they've done. And I'm just like, I just don't know. I have no concept of what that could be ever, like whatsoever. And so it's just like, it's weird. But on the flip of it though, like the more I thought about it, especially once I learned I was aromantic, it was like, I was almost there anyway. Like I often tell people, like, to me, when I learned about aromanticism, it was like I knew my way around a dark room very well. And then when I learned about aromanticism, it was like someone turned the light on. I was like, oh yeah, like I pretty much figured it all out. But like knowing that it's like it's like a thing, and other people are having the same thing, like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. Because like by mid-20s, I was like done. Like I kind of stopped doing relationships. Anybody I was involved with sexually, I was like always very upfront. I'm like, listen, like I just don't do relationships. I don't really know why. I just don't like work like that. So, you know, it's strictly casual. If that's not going to work for you, if you're looking for something more, then let's just not pursue that. We'll just be friends. So, you know, communication is always a really big, important part of that, or any relationship, honestly. And so that was a really thing. But like, yeah, once I learned about aromanticism and that there were other people like me, I was like, holy shit. And so now that I'm doing these videos and I see all these people coming in and like, dude, if you go through the comments, it's amazing. People literally like, I'm in tears right now. Like, because you just go through so long and like, thankfully I'm like pretty well balanced. So even though this like one area of my life has been like kind of confusing, it was never like, I don't know, like, let me change up real quick. I think because I'm so romantic repulsed, it was very clear very early on, like I said, 8 weeks, my longest relationship, it was very clear very early on that like whatever was happening was not for me, like unequivocally. I just, there was just no way I could like, the most extreme version was that 8 week long relationship, as long as it went. I was hoping, I was like, all right, you know what? Like, maybe if I just like stay with it and I like plow through these bad feelings, it'll like normalize and I'll get through it and things will be fine. Like maybe, like, I don't know. It's the only thing I can think that I haven't tried yet is just like, just being miserable and dealing with it. And hopefully it like, I break through it or something. So I stayed a couple extra weeks and got to the point where we went to hook up and she like went to go down on me and like my dick was just not working at all. Like not even a little bit, not like a little, maybe you could like literally like if it could have gone inside, it would have went inside. Like that's how close I was feeling. And I mean, that's a pretty clear indication that like whatever you're doing is not working for you. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, even before I knew it was aromantic, I just knew that lifestyle, those actions, that was just not going to work for me at all. And so that was like mildly disappointing, but just to know that for the most part, I was like, it's cool. Like, I'm just not sweating it because also as a romantic, I don't have the desire for that either. So it's never like I'm sitting home like, oh, I'm so lonely. Like, oh, I wish I had someone. Like I have none of that. I enjoy my alone time a great deal. So yeah, so I was like, oh, maybe it'll be an issue at some point, but I really don't really care that much right now. And then I learned about aromanticism and I was like, oh, cool. Like now I definitely don't have to worry about this. This is just how I am. And that's perfectly fine. We're great. So for me, I felt really blessed to have had such a like significant response, but a lot of aromantic people are like not quite as repulsed as me. Like they're a little further in on that spectrum, I think. So it's a lot more of a gray area for them. So like they're constantly in this like they've been in relationships for like 3 years questioning. And I'm like, I could never have done that. It's so significant. So
that would have been.
So there's a lot of people that are really stuck in this like middle ground a little bit with like they're mostly aromantic. You know what I mean? They have a thing called gray romantic where it's like 1 in a million people might be okay, but everybody else is not going to cut it, and you're still going to be aromantic. So these people are like literally forcing themselves through that like that relationship I was in where like my dick stopped working. Like I had friends, aromantic friends, who were like, yeah, man, I just stuck with it because I thought you're supposed to. Like,
it's the societal norm. Yeah,
exactly. And so, so there's people like in these comments like, dude, I am in tears right now. Like all this time I've been trying to fix myself or change myself or figure out what was wrong. And now this just all makes so much sense. And so it's been really like amazing to see people responding so significantly to it. And it's just been really fun to connect with people in that sense. And really just like, again, for an experience that I thought I alone was having to like continue to hear people like say back to me their experience that so closely matches mine. It's just like, holy shit, like I've never heard another human. Well, now I have, but at the time I was like, I've never heard another human share these same
even
sentiments.
Comprehend. Yeah,
like honestly, even trying to talk to other people, like potential partners or just people in casual conversation that I'm talking to about it, like they'll be like, that's not a thing. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. They look for an excuse or like, hey, like there's no, that doesn't, because
that's not a thing. Yeah,
it's not, it's because you can't relate. It kind of goes, that can't be true.
it's just such a unique thought to them. You know what I mean? That they can't conceive that it's a thing. You mean like they're just never even consider that as an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's
Yeah,
even
and-
like accepting it for yourself. It's like, wow, like that's wild. But like, I know it to be true because I am it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's different than being like, I'll never find love for the social norm of like being depressed because you get broken up with and you'll never find the right one and everything. It's a complete.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. It's like sometimes people will assume like, oh, this is just like a reaction to love. You know, like, but like it's not that. It's literally like, again, it's like the 6ix9ine thing. It's like it's not I hate love or I love love. I literally don't. It does not faze me at all. Like I don't.
So you're aromantic with 6ix9ine is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
What's interesting about it is that the approach that you took, it seems like there was such a lack of terminology that when you posted that video, people could finally, I don't want to relate it to mental illness at all, but the aspect like I've had cluster headaches for like 10 years now, and I never knew what it was until I was able to have a term for it, and then I was able to have someone describe it for me, and then that finally eased me. Exactly. Yeah. That was the light switch that turned on, and I think you doing that for other people is so inspirational because you can give them that terminology, you can explain your experiences, which ultimately helps other people like accept the way they feel, which is which is wonderful. Yeah,
it's been really cool because a lot of people I think like don't know that there's a terminology for it, and honestly just having the vocabulary for it makes it so much easier. Even like when I'm talking to partners, like back in like my 20s before I knew it was aromantic but I knew how I was, you know, you're trying to explain like, oh, I just don't do relationships, I'm not, you know, only casual. Like there's just a lot of ambiguity and it's hard to really be like clear with like it's ambiguous to me in my brain, so trying to make that picture clear to another person is almost impossible.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
it's like a blind it's like someone who can see, or someone who's blind trying to tell someone who sees what they see, you know, like it's
exactly. And so so having the terminology definitely makes people like listen more, and like because they know, like when you try to explain to someone like, oh, I just don't do relationships, casual, well, these are all words people know, and so they already have like thoughts like ascribed to these ideas, and people ascribe to those ideas. When you're like, oh, I'm aromantic, that immediately is a new term that they've never heard. So immediately they're like, okay, blank chapter. You know what I mean? Like blank page, give me the information that you're talking about. So automatically by having a term for it, they're like a little bit more readily available to accept what you're saying. Not entirely. Some people are still a bit closed, but it definitely helps having the terminology. And that's a big reason why I've also been making the videos, is because, you know, I mean, I went to school for communication. I consider myself a pretty like well-articulated person and stuff like that. So I really have enjoyed making these videos, for aromantic people to find and help themselves like connect and hear their experience from another person, you know, spoken about clearly, but also create these as tools for them to use with people in their lives, in case they're not very, you know, good with words and able to communicate clearly. So they can just like literally copy and paste my link to their friend, potential partner, their parents, be like, hey, like this is what I'm experiencing. I can't really explain very well, but this dude has. So like watch this. And then if you have any questions about my specific experience, ask me, and we can kind of go from there. You know what I mean? So that's been a really important part and cool part about the video series I've been making. And I like have a whole list of more video topics on just like how my experience as an aromantic person differs from like the average dating and experiences. So.
And how long were you able to grasp that terminology? Like, do you know like at a specific point or what age you got to that said, okay, this is what it is, I'm aromantic, I finally have the vocabulary for it now? So that's been
pretty interesting too, because I think it was around like 26 or 27 by the time I learned about it. So it's been a couple of years now, but a lot of time that I didn't have it. But now I'm like in a couple of like aromantic groups. There's like a subreddit and there's like a Facebook page or whatever. And so I'm on there and I'm like, I made a post just the other day actually. And I was like, hey guys, like just out of curiosity, how old are you guys and how long have you guys known about the term? Excuse me. And literally like the vast majority are like, oh yeah, I'm 16. I learned about this when I was 13.
And you're like, if I had those tools when I was younger, I would have been fucking set. Yeah.
I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. Like, dude, this literally 13-year-old. They're like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm aromantic. I'm like, and now like initially my thought is to be like, God, like give it some time.
Yeah.
But I think you can have like an indication that early. Same thing as like being gay. I think you can have that. You might not know for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of people that sometimes they feel really sad when they find out, or they're thinking that they're romantic, because like they, you know, to some people, when you've been building up what romantic relationships can be and getting married and stuff can be, like it's so romanticized and fantasized about to learn that you're not going to be able to do that can be fucking gut wrenching. Like for me, it wasn't a big deal. I didn't really care that much. It was disappointing, and sometimes it still kind of is, but overall, I don't care. But like, I had a comment the other day. This girl, like, she's like, I am hysterical. I've been crying for 2 hours, like, because I think this is me, and like, just to know that I'll never be able to have this romantic relationship. Like, to some people, it's like, you know, telling someone they're barren and they'll never be able to have children, and they always wanted to be a mom. You know what I mean? It's like, you just know the things that you're not gonna be able to do in life. But to me, I'm like, dog, like, there's so many pros to being aromantic, though, because like, when you think about all the crazy things people do for love, and like how many like traumatic experiences they go through, and bad partners they go through, and how much time they waste in bad relationships and getting cheated on and the heartbreak, I'm like, dude, like, that's one reason why I think in retrospect that I was always so sure of myself and mature, because like, I feel like a lot of allo romantic people that experience romantic attraction, take a lot of time to kind of get to like a good foundation of who they are. Is because I think for a long time, they're constantly kind of like leaving a space in their foundation for a partner, because you're expecting to build together. Like, I think you're always kind of like leaving that space there for somebody. So they're never like 100% building themselves yet until like they have that one bad relationship that ends like, you know, mid-20s, like, man, I gotta figure out who the fuck I am, you know? Like,
yeah.
I already knew, like, I was like, dude, I've never been waiting for somebody. In fact, I don't know what having someone here would be like. So like, my foundation has been concrete for like since my teens. So I was really watching people, like, you know, people in their 20s and even like late 30s or early 30s, whatever, kind of like reinventing themselves or figuring out who they are. I'm like, y'all are late as fuck. Like, being romantic has given me such focus to like all the time. Like, consider this, guys. Like, I think about all the time you spent trying to get laid as a teenager or teen, like whatever, and imagine you had all that time back to put towards creative experience.
Oh my God, man! I could have written a novel by now, man. That's my dream, and I could have done it. You know?
And that's what I'm saying. So, yeah, I mean, it's just people get really bummed about at first when they think about it, but I'm like, guys, give it some time and know that there's like advantages to being able to like focus on yourself. Plus, another thing I mentioned in another video is like, relying on romantic relationships to be your primary source of love is so inconsistent and dangerous, because as we see, they're inconsistent. They like, you know what I mean? You're breaking up, you're getting cheated on, whatever. Like for me, my primary, you know, wells of love come from my family and my friends. And those are far more stable relationships to base that like, you know, resource of love on, you know what I mean? So again, to me, like, there's just tons of pros to being a romantic. I'm not going to say it's better or worse than not being romantic,
but it does seem like a cool
experience. Yeah, it does seem like a cool experience. That I am bummed that it seems like a great experience that I would have loved to have like done, but having not gotten that and having gotten the advantage that I do have, I'm like, you know, I kind of think I got the better aspect of the deal. So
that's good. Yeah.
One of the earliest times that I had a romantic relationship when I was like 10 years old, 11 years old, and the first Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out, and I fell in love with the game.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Transition.
Yeah.
I was so like into the topic of aromanticism that when you said Tony Hawk,
I was like, all right,
I was so far away. Like, dude.
No, sorry.
No, but I think first we should say thank you for shedding light, and you're definitely paving the way for a younger community to have that terminology and be able to explain it. So we definitely appreciate that.
Real quick, I would definitely check anybody who's listening. Check out the album "Aromanticism" by Moses Sumney. He's a fucking incredible musician and vocalist, and like, it was the first time I've ever heard music that spoke to me on that deep of an emotional level, because typically all the music is like love songs or heartbreak songs, and I've never experienced either of those. So to me, it was always like, oh yeah, like, he's really sad, or like, they're really happy. But like, this was a guy, like, he's got a song, the like main song is called "Don't Bother Calling, I'll Call You," which is kind of about him being romantically repulsed. And then there's another song called "Doomed," where he's asking like, if my heart is idle, am I doomed? In other words, like, if I can't feel this romantic love that everyone's talking about, am I doomed? Like, am I even, like, am I experiencing life to the fullest, you know? So it was the first time I've like really emotionally connected with music on that level. And it was, plus musically, sonically, it's incredible. So definitely go check it out. Moses Sumney, Aromanticism. It is amazing.
That's awesome.
All right, next topic.
I was trying to make it seamless, and then I came off like an asshole. I was just like, all right.
You did. We still love you, though.
No, it would have been smooth if you didn't go, hey, thanks for doing that, Justin. And then I'm like, all right, well, now I don't. Now now I'm no longer friends with my brother, and now we're around that team. But no, one thing I wanted to get into is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 just being announced for a remaster. One and two.
So stoked.
So Tony Hawk, it was his birthday yesterday. He made the big announcement. He talked about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 being remastered. The games came out 20 years ago. I have September 4th, but I think that's the date it's releasing on. I don't think it's an anniversary date. Like sometimes they'll release it on the anniversary to tie all the dates together, but I believe it's just the release date coming up.
Yeah.
And I think the best part, so there's going to be an online mode. There's going to be create a park, create a skater. But the best fucking part about this coming out is most of the original soundtrack is going to be in this fucking game, dude.
Dude, if you can pinpoint the most nostalgic like soundtrack ever, I feel like Tony Hawk, it's either like Twisted Metal or Tony Hawk, and you're right there. Like,
yeah, and I there was like Need for Speed Underground had like Get Low by Yin Yang Twins, and it was like it was the jam, dude. You're like, it just became synonymous with playing that fucking game. And soundtracks for some reason like have kind of dissipated just with creating more of an environmental feel.
Yes.
So they take the games and they build their sounds kind of similar to movies without like major hits backing it, to just create that climax and create that environment and create that like the eerie feeling when you're walking through a cave, or like, you know, when you're like that type of like sound to kind of like when you're about to jump off a building. You know what I mean? Like now it's catered to the game, and I feel like popular songs or discovering music like has really kind of fell off. Like, for instance, like I moved here when I was 10 years old, and like hip hop was kind of a foreign thing to me, and hearing It's Tricky on SSX Tricky was my first experience.
Dude, one of the nastiest soundtracks having is Tricky.
So like I feel like with Tony Hawk you had like Golden Finger Superman, which became like, that's how most people discovered that song in general. And I feel like soundtracks used to define games, but they don't anymore. I feel like the only time I've sometimes been excited about songs is maybe Madden. Like sometimes Madden or sports games have really good songs, and just in the menu too.
But the
like,
funny thing about that is that at games they're playing these hits, they're playing these music. So the climate of an NFL game is literally a soundtrack. So it's kind of like correlating the reality aspect too. Yeah. Just funny.
Nick, do you go ahead.
Yeah, did you know that the original Star Wars movie almost had a soundtrack instead of a score?
No way.
Really?
Yeah, George Lucas was gonna use like a fucking 1977 musical soundtrack instead of a score. Dude, a completely different movie.
Just pulling songs that like are already released to kind of fit the environment. Really?
I guess, man. Dude, a completely different movie. John Williams is a like significant part of that movie series.
That's so crazy. Are you well to tie it back to Tony Hawk? Were you a fan of that series? Because I know recently they got a big. That's the reason I'm kind of hesitant about getting this is because the new Tony Hawk was so bad, and I felt like as Tony Hawk became better and more popular, or became worse once Skate came out, and Skate kind of showed what a real skateboarding simulation could look like.
I just downloaded Skate 3 last night.
Kind of the decline of Tony Hawk and the rise of Skate. But I figured I'd get your input because you were a 90s or 80s, 90s kid, and you probably are very familiar with the Tony Hawk series.
Yeah, man. Tony Hawk 1 was definitely I was like, that was my age bracket for sure. Like, so I played 1, 2 religiously. I think I played up through 4, like, solid. And then I thought I didn't do anything. Like, I didn't play Thug. I didn't do... There was like an Underground one too, right?
Yeah, I think that's
Thug, right?
That's Thug. Yeah. Tony Hawk Underground.
Yeah, I didn't play that one. How many numbered ones were there?
I think there were 4 or 5.
Underground 1 and 2, and then there may be a couple like weird names in between, and then the last one that came out was 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So I know for sure I 100% did 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure I did 3 for sure. and I think maybe I played 4. I can't remember. Yeah, honestly, I was kind of fading by the time the later ones were coming out. I don't even know if the games were good or not. I was kind of fading from video games in general at that point. Like by the time I got my car and then got into college, I just wasn't really gaming anymore. So yeah, there was like a lot of years I just didn't really game at all. Like that's pretty much it. So I did not play them because I thought they were bad. Like honestly, I didn't even play Skate. I was kind of on my way out before Skate came out. I played a little bit at other people's houses.
Yeah,
but I never owned Skate myself. I didn't play it. Again, not because it was a great game. I just wasn't really gaming that much anymore.
Yeah.
Dude,
and it's
but I am stoked for 1 and 2. I'm definitely gonna get them and play them again.
You know what I was just thinking of? The Tony Hawk that released with the physical fucking skateboard. Do you guys remember?
Tony Hawk Ride, dude.
Yeah, dude, what a throwback! I totally forgot about that shit.
That's such a. It was so gross, dude. Like, it's like, what are you gonna do on like a board? Like, it's just so.
Dude, kickflip on a board without fucking wheels or trucks. Let's see how you do it, man.
And then what? You're just supposed to like tilt. Like, it's like you might as well give someone a Wii Fit board or whatever.
You remember that? You guys remember that downhill skateboarding arcade game? That shit was dope.
Oh yeah, dude. And you're holding on to.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that shit was dope. Yo, deadass. I was 100% about to buy one. It was like $300 because this dude just needed to get rid of it.
No way.
I had nowhere to put it.
That's so funny.
Dude, I think one of the best things, like I said, I just downloaded Skate 3 last night. Before Tony Hawk was released, I don't know why. I was like, dude, I miss... Like, I skateboarded for a little bit. I was way more into BMX. But, like, the physics of skateboarding games always got me, like, dude, just mesmerized. I don't know why. But Tony Hawk 1 and 2, I think my favorite part were all the collectibles that you have. Because Skate 3, they're trying to push... People are trying to push for a Skate 4.
Like the videotapes and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Like, in all the Skates, like, you don't really have that element that's like, hey, I need to collect... You know, the 5...
All the secret,
all the secret things. Like, Skate is literally like, hey, yo, we're going to take photographs of you. We're going to do films of you. But, like, back in the day, like, collectibles used to be the jam. And that's one thing that, like, nostalgically, I miss from the Tony Hawk series that is not very prevalent in sports games anymore.
And I think the reason why Tony Hawk even had that as a feature is because at the point where it came out, collectathons like Banjo-Kazooie and...
Oop, I think we got frozen for a second.
Justin's frozen. I'm good. I hear you.
I'm good too. I think, is he going to have to rejoin?
Maybe.
He's coming back.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, you're back.
I'm back. Okay. So the reason why I know I was like, so the reason why Tony Hawk had all these is because collectathons were the trend of video games.
Yeah.
And you would see it in Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64 and Donkey Kong 64 and all these other games that I felt like they were almost blending the skateboarding simulator, which was unique for its time, was one of, if not the first.
Yeah. And
then going, what's popular right now? Let's put elements of that into the game where you have to find these secret tapes and everything.
Definitely.
Dude.
Yeah, man. Do you guys think that they're going to retroactively put revert and manuals into one or not?
What do you mean?
I hope so.
Because in Tony Hawk 1, there was no revert and there was no manual.
I hope
they probably will. They're talking about like implementing a lot of stuff that were in the later games, and
that kind of
I don't know if that's
game,
a good
though,
or bad thing.
Because like you could only link so many tricks in one because there was no manual or revert.
Not to mention, what I was thinking is the timer. Because Tony Hawk 1 and I think 2 had like a 2-minute timer for every level
to do your tasks.
So I'm curious to see, like, are they going to add any extra skateboarding features? Are they going to add a timer? Because now, I mean, I don't know any games besides sports games that have timers like that. That's like, hey, collect all 5, mixtapes within 2 minutes. I don't see that happening. So that's fucking weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's not a big enough. The original levels aren't big enough to be like an open world explore. So you almost need a countdown timer to
make it like challenging.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, if you have unlimited time in the warehouse, like 10 minutes, and you finished everything. Yeah,
for sure. Yo, I remember playing that in like Walmart at the fucking thing, like
at the fucking stations.
There's a glass protecting. There's just that little metal piece that like is just.
And the grimiest PlayStation controller you've ever fucking seen, dude.
Oh my god, that's fucking
It's
great.
covered in fucking boogers and shit from every other kid that came by.
So I wanted to talk about this. I don't know if I want to talk about it extensively or quickly, which is the problem for me. Because, so Justin and I last month, Justin sent this to me, and it's literally, it's a group on Facebook that's an ant colony where we all pretend to be, a group where we all pretend to be ants in an ant colony.
Dude, so good!
And it's exactly how it sounds, dude. There's a Facebook group. When Justin and I joined it, there were 800,000 people when he sent it to me. Right now, there are almost 2 million people in this Facebook group. And have you heard of this, Nick? No, you.
Oh, it's so good.
So
it's
literally,
so bad, but so good. It's like it's definitely that fine line we were talking about earlier.
So people can share photos, people can share videos, GIFs, whatever, onto that group on Facebook. And literally, what it is people pretend to be ants, and in the comments, so basically whatever you share onto that Facebook post, it's gonna be like you're picking up food to bring to the queen, you're helping fend off other insects,
it'll be
you're
like
protecting
it'll be like
colonies,
a bunch of almost a picture that you find from Google Images or whatever, and you go, it's like a bunch of ants like eating a sandwich, and then they'll post it to the group and go, "Hey guys, I just found a sandwich." And then the comments are flooded with people pretending to be ants to help them.
The funniest thing I think about the group is the language, because so like two of the most popular things that you can do in the ant colony is you can comment lift or you can comment bite. But it's not it's spelled the same way, but there's spaces in between the letters, and it's all capitals. So literally, dude, someone posts a picture of like a piece of strawberry on the ground. There's a bunch of ants around it, and literally everyone's like lift, 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 and like and then they'll have
tens of thousands of comments.
Yeah,
of just people
dude,
saying lift, and it's so fucking funny. Just because it's like everyone is like invested in just pretending to be ants, like, and they'll be like, "Oh, humans trying to step on me," and it will show like a shoe coming into like step on ants, and everyone's like bite, bite, bite. So they're pretending to be hundreds and thousands of ants.
Dude, it's the most preposterous thing, dude, and it's so fucking funny because it's so outlandish that I'm literally part of a Facebook group that I pretend to be an ant, and I posted on there, and I invited my buddy Rob, and he commented on it because I said like bite or lift or obey or something like that, and he just put cringe underneath in the same language, and I was like, dude, come on. And then he tried flooding the fucking chat with a bunch of ant eaters, like just pictures of ant eaters on every single post, and it was an ant eater poking through a hole, and its long nose was there, and it said, "Hey, y'all got any ants?" And it was just that meme on every single post, and I'm like, you're such a fucking douchebag.
Dude,
but
so
he never
funny.
got any likes or something. Like, people are dedicated to becoming an ant in this ant colony. So like I said, almost at 2 million. It was 1.83 by when I checked this morning. So I was just fucking cracking up, dude. And it's something, I don't know. Nick, would you want to be part of an ant colony? Do you want me to invite you on Facebook after this?
I think I'm cool.
Hey, we got a lot of time in quarantine time.
Yo, I'm just saying, like, no, listen, I'm not knocking nobody's thing. Like, to be honest, I just downloaded Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, and I'm still playing the remake over and over again. So, like, and I'm doing content. So, like, I'm still, like, to be honest, as much time as we have at home, I really am having a hard time, like, scheduling out my time to do everything that I actually want to do. So, like, it seems like adding Ant to the long list of things, seems like a lot.
We'll see you in a couple weeks. We'll see you once 8 and 9 are beaten.
Oh my god, dude, that's so funny.
Also, Brennan, I don't know if you've seen the other groups. They have other groups where it's like everyone in this group pretends to be working in the same office.
Yeah, and they're like all chatty Cathys and shit like that, and they're all talking shit about each other. Like, it's a simulation.
Like, complaining about like the water bubbler not being refilled and like bitching about the boss and stuff like that. It's so
basically
funny
like Animal Crossing and shit. You know what I mean? It's just people living like fake lives, you know what I mean, and just doing fun stuff. I get it, dude.
It's just Sims for Facebook comments or it's so funny.
And I think that's what got
communal.
people.
It's communal. That's a big part of it. It's
yes.
Not, 'cause Sims is just you, like, right? Sims isn't co-op, right?
I don't.
Or is it now?
I don't think so.
No,
my wife has Sims 4, and I don't think she can
you
go online.
Animal Crossing,
that's what I'm saying. Sims, I don't believe so.
The social component is definitely a big part of it, I think.
And it's so funny because what was I gonna say? Oh, I looked online this morning because I wanted to just see, and they said that they had such a flood of people trying to share onto this ant colony thing that they have to limit. So Monday through Friday, they monitor everything being sent from the weekend. So you can only share in that group from the weekend, and then they have moderators, and they're literally having people apply to be a moderator in there. So they have applications for monitors or
2020, dog.
Administrators.
2020.
They have literally applications to become an administrator on this Facebook page, and they're saying, hey, if you want to be an administrator, it's a hard task. You have to work on the weekends, and it's just like so overwhelmingly. I don't know if it's funny or obnoxious, but either way,
right,
I'm still enjoying it.
How do you
Serious
monetize
question.
that?
Serious question.
Merch.
Do y'all like the movie Ants?
All right, I prefer a Bug's Life over
I was
Ants
gonna say
all day.
A Bug's Life over Ants any day.
Okay.
Any day.
Why?
Dude.
What were you gonna say, Nick?
Oh, I mean, I definitely agree. I'm just saying, like, you know, if y'all are trying to be ants, I figure I'm gonna be really into this movie.
It's so funny because the only way I remember Ants is it being a knockoff of Bug's Life. And I
Yes.
don't know if that's how it came out, but I think just reflecting back into like my memories that's all I can remember from Ants. I don't even know the plot.
I don't either. To be honest, I was so young, I don't even remember the plot of A Bug's Life. Like, it's been a long
Dude, Bug's
fucking
Life is
time.
dope.
Yeah,
They
dude.
both came out.
I'm a mute.
Yeah, I think Ants came out first, dog. I know you said no phones, but I'm like super curious. I think Ants came out first.
No way,
No
dude. If
way.
Ants came out first,
thought
I
it
would
came
be
out like
so
a year
pissed.
or two after.
Ants came out 1 month before Bug's Life.
No way, dude!
No
Just to
way!
make sure y'all got your
Imagine
bug
two animated bug films coming out in such a session, and one not even being in the conversation, like compared to A Bug's Life.
Nick, you know why we don't use phones in the podcast? Because 90% of the time we're wrong, and we don't want to be wrong.
There's no fact checking. We can be as wrong as we want.
We're the least informative podcast, dude.
Fair. It's just very much good. Like, I hate, like, dude, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about. My other topic was misinformation. Like, that shit, like, honestly, anybody who's hung out with me before, they'll, like, can attest. Like, I'm kind of known as a know-it-all, but, like, am always right, though. Like my friends hate, like, when I am the occasional wrong, they get so hyped. They're like, yeah! Because I am right so often. But that's only because, like, I only go hard and I only voice my opinion when I know, like, I do a lot of research and I will only speak on something right. And if I know that I'm not, like, sure, I'll flat out
you're, like,
give you,
quiet.
of assuredness. Like, I'll be like, I was about to be like, yo, I think Ants came out first. But I literally would be like, but like I'm like 60% sure, so like don't quote me on it. So, like,
Let it breathe.
yeah. So, but I'll let people know like what the like assurance of the information I'm giving them if it's like an unbelievable thing, because I am very much like about having correct information. So.
Oh yeah, I feel like to be a know-it-all, like I know you said sometimes people think I'm a know-it-all, but to be a know-it-all, you have to be right a good portion of the time.
Yeah,
or
for
else
sure.
you're just an awful person. If you're like a know-it-all that doesn't actually know it all, you're just a dick. But if you're a know-it-all that knows their shit,
true.
you're good. Like
Yeah.
people aren't gonna fucking backtrack and be like, nah.
Yeah, if you're not good, then you're a dick. If you're good,
Yeah.
then it's like, all right, he knows his shit. He can
Yeah,
actually.
I mean, you can
comment on
still
it.
be a dick. It really depends on how you're presenting the information.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you
I try
just
to be
have
cool
to be
with it. I
confident.
try-
But we'll tack the humbleness onto your know-it-all, so you're good. It levels out.
I mean, yeah.
Um,
Oftentimes it is really just about me, like trying to make sure that they do know the right information. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to assert my dominance over someone else. I'm literally just be like, hey, I don't want you out there embarrassing yourself by giving this misinformation. Like, here's the real info.
Yeah.
Like, Ants did come out before Bug's Life. So just,
That's so fucking funny, dude. Can I talk about, because I wanted to bring it up this podcast, because Justin loves conspiracy theories. He doesn't love them, but he has like a book on them, and he kind of like goes into it. And I
don't
wanted
have a book.
You have a book of conspiracy theories, don't you? It's on your bookshelf on the
No.
bottom.
No, I have a book of things that are true but aren't proven. Like are like 99% true.
So
but aren't
conspiracy theories.
proven. No. It's not like there's a conspiracy happening. It's like black holes aren't technically 100% true, but this is all the scientific evidence behind it before proving it. It's like all
Jet
like,
fuel
it's like-
doesn't melt still beams, dude. Same thing.
No,
Black
no,
holes
it's
and fucking.
it's nothing like that. It's no jet fuel. It's literally things that they have a bunch of scientific evidence behind, but the theory can't be proven because that 1% is still unsure. But it's not a conspiracy. It's just like it's just a scientific like information that can't
theoretical physics.
Fuck you guys.
All right, well, I have something that has some science behind it, but isn't a conspiracy theory, but might have some science behind it. And I know you like it, so I'm going to bring it up. How's that?
Okay.
All right, so North Korea, dude. I'm going to talk about North Korea right now. All right, Kim Jong-un is still present. Or still absent with no presence in North Korea. He did make an appearance and then had to go back. And he hasn't appeared in 12 days. So people are making like, oh, blah, blah. Like at first it was, oh, who's going to be the next reign of North Korea if North Korea, say, Kim Jong-un got the coronavirus, yada, yada. So people were taking pictures of his sister saying she, since she has the rightful name.
Successor, yeah.
Yes, she should be the next one. But dude, when he came out the first time, this is so funny. When he came out the first time, people were saying that that's not actually Kim Jong-un. That's a double. So they took pictures of him and they got scientific evidence.
You fucker.
That there's conspiracy theories revolving around him saying that he's not actually Kim Jong-un. And there's 3 things that make him different than the actual Kim Jong-un. And then I'll ask your opinion on it.
I'll continue to let you speak like that, but un is like the normally accepted from everyone.
What did I say? Un?
Yeah.
Oh, Kim Jong-un. It's
That's
like
what you've been saying.
Un.
You've been saying it like you're trying to fucking say the number 1 in French.
Oh, I've been saying it and it's un?
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un. Yeah, whatever.
Right? Right, Nick?
I think so.
All right, so Kim Jong-un is his stunt double. Apparently, there's 3 things. So he has differences in his teeth, his molars, not specifically, but specifically. His ears are disproportionate, and there's a mark on his wrist that might be a tattoo that has been removed. But people said, there can't be a stunt double. There's no one else in North Korea that is as fat as Kim Jong-un. And dude, it blows my mind that there could be something that people are like, oh, there's a stunt double. Yeah. There's just a double of Kim Jong-un. And they pulled him in to run the country for a little bit, and then he went back in for 12 days.
If I can be real with you,
yeah,
I have not followed that story almost at all, other than like I saw the articles that it was thought that Kim Jong-un was possibly dead.
Yeah.
And then he made the appearance and then had to be gone for 12 days rather. My brain automatically went to that it was a double. Like,
really?
I have not heard that theory, but
no
that was
way.
my theory. Well, dude, like when you know anything about that dude's like actions and mentality and stuff, like
or that country
when you are thought to be sick or dead,
yeah.
and then like you are absent for a while, and then you're seen just once and then gone for a few days. That's just very suspicious.
That's so funny that you thought of that too, because people are literally like, there was main articles that were being like, there are articles that are being fucking published about his double and a possibility that he is dead, and they're just releasing this second dude out and then he's going back. So I don't know if Kim Jong-un probably got the coronavirus and he's recovering or something along the lines, and they just pushed someone out there to be like, he might not even be dead.
He could not be dead and just not able to
go to the podium and to be able to
his dictatorship.
Exactly. So I don't know, dude. I don't know why I'm so excited, but I'm excited to see what happens, and excited to see if it is a double, if he gets caught, and what the fuck he's going to say. Because I mean, he'll probably deny it.
That's the thing. We've talked about it before, where it's like North Korea only discloses what they want. Like when we find stuff out, it's when the country finds something out, because the government only discloses that information.
Correct.
So, and we've said before where his successor or his predecessor, we found out he passed away a couple days after he passed away, and the only reason we figured that out is because they didn't disclose it to North Korea until a couple days later.
Exactly.
So they're only disclosing what they want us to know. So if it is a stunt double, they're not going to say anything, and they're going to play a fucking real good game at it. If anything, it might be we might need James Franco and Seth Rogen to the rescue to go check in.
Yo, so like to be honest, man, like this is kind of where my head's been at recently, which kind of ties into what I was speaking to earlier, whereas like I'm a bit of a know-it-all. Like I do a lot of research and like stuff, whatever. There is just so much misinformation and lack of proper resources out there that like literally as like a reasonably educated person and like I consider relatively intelligent, I'm so like, I'm basically just been like disassociating. Like since being home, I'm just like, dude, I literally can't tell fucking up from down right now. So I'm just like not paying attention to any of it. Like I just like, I can try, because I'm the type of person that needs to know the facts and needs to know what's going on, like for real. The fact that I can't do, like when I'm trying to, I can't get a grip on reality of what's real information and not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, like when the pandemic and the quarantine first started happening, like I kept trying to like grab that factor, and like it just kept like twisting and fucking. And I was like, dude, like I'm losing my mind. I like that. Like I rarely, if ever, had anxiety or stress. You know, I'm on Facebook a lot, like arguing with people and trying to like show them the right information and stuff like that, and provide sources. And I was like trying, and it was literally just like I was just ridiculously overwhelmed and stressed, and I was like, dude, I'm out. Like, there's just too much and I can't get a hold of it, and there's too many people like using this bullshit information as like means to
push your own propaganda.
And so that's like that was my other topic that I want to talk about. It's just like this idea of like being informed but you're not really informed, and like trying to like people are like, oh, like how long do you think we're going to be in quarantine, and people trying to give their opinions. I'm like, dude, you have no fucking idea. You're not a scientist, you're not in government, you have no, like people are asking me, I'm like, I have no idea either. Like nobody should be answering this question. Your feeling of how long it'll be is literally irrelevant. It has no bearing on reality. So why?
Yeah, like, why are you even going into it if you don't have the information? Because the information hasn't been provided. So if the information hasn't been provided, you don't know what you're talking about.
100%.
And the first time I kind of realized that people kind of push their own agenda, because you realize it, but it's most of the times you don't have 100% of the information at all times. So you can't like be like, all right, I know you're just pushing your own agenda. But I think when it clicked with me is when we talked about this on another episode where I gave a story time of one kid I knew from high school murdered someone. And I knew him. He's been to my house, and I grew up with him. And then people were pushing the agenda of this is why we shouldn't let immigrants in because he was Spanish. And I was like, no, he's not. Like he literally, I've known him for like 25 years. You know, like he's. I've gone to elementary school, I've gone to middle school, high school, I've known him all my life. He's born here. He's not an immigrant. Like I know, like you can't say he's like he came here to murder someone and steal people's jobs. Like he's lived here. He's a born citizen. So it's like, and that's when it clicked for me, where it's like, oh, like almost every single conversation I'm going to read on Facebook or any social media, I almost have to take it with a grain of salt because everyone's going to put their own opinions on it. And that's not even on topics that need to have a left or right or need to have like
anything, dude. Anything.
You could be talking about something like you could talk about video games and you could see people are upset about things before they even know everything about it. Like, so it's like just because of their past, what their traumas, their opinions, everything kind of just, like you said, twists the narrative. And it's very simple to fall into it because their twisted narrative fits closer with your narrative than another person's narrative.
Yeah, man. People are just so opposed to like understanding something that they don't already. Like they're just, it's all ego, dude. It always comes back to ego, which is insane. Like there was this meme that someone posted on my wall that was like, when people say that comic books shouldn't be political, and it was like Captain America making a funny face because comic books have always been political. Like literally since, Captain America was in World War II, so was Superman. You know what I mean? Like always, comic books have been intrinsically like alongside politics forever. And so this kid like chimes in, he's like, I don't think comic books should be political. And we're like, me and like a bunch of my friends who are all big comic nerds, like, dude, like comic book cover, article about politics and comics, like all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I just don't think that they happened before. And we're like, dude, like and he even says, he's like, I don't really know that much about the topic, but I still feel like that they weren't. And I'm like, so you can fully admit that you are ignorant on the topic and are in the face of like multiple people that are like not experts, but like well versed in the topic,
but can give evidence. Yeah,
and you're still like, nah. And I'm like, and this is a topic like you were saying that like doesn't even really matter. Like this is just something frivolous. So God forbid we're talking about something that you like care about. Like you'll never fucking change your mind, dude. It's so insane. And a big, again, it's all ego. And then obviously like I really like two things I really like telling people these days on posts, if I have the energy for it, is one is just literally just comment the word source ? And that ends like 65, 70% any conversation.
That's
Literally,
funny.
no. Source, question mark, no response. Like, so many. The other one is Dunning-Kruger effect. Are you guys familiar with this?
No.
Justin?
No.
So the Dunning-Kruger effect is the idea or the concept of skill or knowledge versus confidence. So it's like that idea of like when you know a very little bit about a topic, you feel like you know everything about that topic. Or if you're like, you only know a little bit and you're like kind of good, you think you're fucking amazing. And then all of a sudden like you learn more. So like the more you know, the worse you think you are, because you like understand like how much, you know what I mean?
How many more questions there are? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like scientists that like discover more answers to questions, but those answers only provide more questions.
Yeah, exactly. You mean it's like it's like the old like warrior movies or whatever. So where like some fighter thinks he's the best fighter ever, but then he like meets a master and realizes that, oh shit, I'm at like stage 1 and there's like 100 stages. You know what I mean? And so like everybody though is like the vast majority of people are at stage 1 without realizing they're there yet. So all of these people like, oh, listen, I've read all this information and I know exactly what's going on. Like, dog, you are like so blind to anything that's happening. You're like
stage
so
1.
confident and you know absolutely bullshit.
And that's the hard thing too, is that the people that are most confident are the ones that you don't, unless you like know about, you don't want to oppose, because their confidence almost makes up for the lack of intelligence. And then like there's so many people
and
that
they're
are
the
like,
most vocal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're always the most vocal.
And there's also a really sad thing too that I don't really have like the solution for necessarily, but like a big problem and why like pandemic and everything has gotten so popular, whatever, is did you guys watch the Flat Earth documentary on Netflix?
No.
You guys are familiar with
I think I've seen bits and pieces, but I haven't watched it.
You're familiar with Flat Earthers though, and like they believe. Okay, so the documentary I watched because it's kind of funny, and like I've definitely taken my shots at Flat Earthers and stuff like that. But there's a really important segment in the documentary that I think is good. First of all, the documentary does a pretty good job of like not like really fucking like outright mocking these people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It does its best to kind of like fairly show them and why they think these things, right? And there's a really important segment in there where there's a meeting. There's 2 meetings that they're kind of showing back to back. One is a meeting and gathering of like flat earthers, and then one is a gathering of like NASA employees. They're all having like a little like trivia night or whatever, and they do like a little presentation of her. And this one scientist from NASA gets up in front of everybody and does this whole presentation about flat earthers. And he basically is like talking. He's like, the thing that a lot of people don't understand or like, I think have error in their ways is that like they're so quick to mock the flat earthers and put them down, but like that's not why you got into science. Hopefully, you know what I mean. Like you typically get into science to like further the education and understanding of the world that we live in, but that includes the people that we live with. And the thing is that a lot of these flat earthers have scientific minds. You know what I mean? Like they're questioning, and that's better than most people ever get to.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What's worse, the person that like blindly follows no matter what, or the person that questions and comes to the wrong conclusion? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like these people with like slightly different paths could have been great scientists in some instances. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But this is where it comes into again what I was talking before. Is like there's just so much misinformation out there, and there's so many like bad resources and stuff that some people get so like it's what's a good example? It's like kind of I don't know. It's like it's become so overwhelming that people suddenly don't trust anybody. Like and when that happens, it basically becomes impossible. It's it's perfect. You guys watch King of the Hill?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
It's Dale, dude. Like there's literally Oh, that's what it is. It's like Dale is like a smart dude, but like when you're that distrusting of everybody, there's no coming back anymore. Like you have to trust somebody, like for information, because if you can't trust anybody for information, then you're completely detached from reality. You know what I mean? Like you alone can't confirm all that information yourself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to rely on somebody. And if you're distrusted in every resource is there, you're ghost, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so and it's funny. There's a moment in that documentary where this woman is like, she's a flat earther, and there's these like whole flat earther community that like turned on her, and they're like talking that she's like a plant and that her documents are fake and all this stuff. And she's like so close to honest. She's like, man, these people are just so crazy, like thinking what they want. Like there's almost no way to prove them wrong. Imagine if I was like that. And you're like, and then like, so you're like, dude, you're so close. That's it's really, it's like sad that there are a lot of inquisitive minds out there, but there's just so much bad information that people are absorbing that sends them down the wrong path, and they get so far down the wrong path that, you know, there's almost no coming back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even the videos that, like, the people making the videos know they're bullshit, and so they'll preemptively say, like, this will get deleted in 24 hours. And then it does, because it's obviously bullshit. But then people are like, they said this would happen. It must be true.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
I heard a quote, and I don't have any way of, like, knowing where it came from, whatever, or, like, really the research behind it. But I thought it seemed pretty accurate. Where, like, people are over-informed these days. Meaning that, like, they're giving too much information that their, like, knowledge can't properly process.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're, like, obviously they're just coming, they're connecting the wrong dots and coming to the wrong conclusions, and it just, like, you know, that tied in with their ego, it just makes for a really bad combination.
It's like if you were dropped off, say with no knowledge, dropped off into a library of books, you're only gonna be so overwhelmed by which book to start with, or which section to start with, or where to go, that you're gonna get that first book, and then you're gonna read that, and that's almost gonna become law to you. And then you're gonna read books in that similar lane, or you might just stay in that one section because it's too overwhelming to scour across the entire library to look at different opinions of different books, because you don't even know those different ideologies exist because of how grandeur the library actually is.
And you realize the first book that led you on that path was problematic to begin with. You know what I mean? So like your journey from the jump was fucking fucked, but you can't realize that because that was the only thing you knew on the topic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had I just finished up my semester, and one of my last classes was journalism, and I have this.
Which congratulations, Brandon, by the way, for getting your bachelor's.
That's amazing, dude.
Thanks,
Congrats,
man.
It's so dope.
One step closer to being a teacher and spreading the misinformation. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I took a journalism class, and my professor is like fucking crazy Twitter famous. I think he's almost at like 1 million followers. It's disgusting. But I took the class because I love him so much. And it's funny because we had talked about the vast majority of sources and things, like not only do you have to look at what the United States is doing as a whole, but then you have other countries and other, like, say, you know, BBC and things like that. And, you know, you go into Africa and they have their own news outlet and stuff. And there's so much information. How are you supposed to process everything? And we become, you know, a country that has way too much information. And like you said, a lot of it is misleading, and you can't trust it, to the point where he broke down statistics, which I'm hoping are real, because otherwise this point just doesn't make sense. But,
you're literally giving us you're giving us statistics of misinformation that's been misinformed you from the beginning.
Yes, exactly. And I think it was a percentage in our demographic that was less than 30, I think it was 33 or 35. Again, you know, of people don't even trust media outlets on television, whether it's CNN, CNN, Fox News. 33. Yeah, so it's just absolutely crazy. And then when you go into forms of other not news outlets, like other platforms like radio, it gets lower, newspaper, it gets lower, and there was like 4 forms of where you can get your media. And to think that like only 33% of the people believe what they're seeing on TV. Like we literally don't trust the information because it's such a vast amount, and most of it is misleading. So, and
we've talked about it before.
It's unfortunate.
What happens is headlines sell, so they're not going to give you a fucking topic that is bland or boring. So they're going to overemphasize the parts that people are going to latch onto. Then the extremists on both sides are going to jump to either defend or go against a certain topic. So it's intentionally played to be dramatic, because at the end of the day, you can see all of our sources of media are dramatic to latch onto, because it's what sells. That's the misinformation. And what it's just like when I always relay it to when you're telling a story, you can see a story start to twist and evolve because you see people's reaction to, like, oh, I fucking took 2 shots of alcohol. And people are like, what? You drank 2 shots? And then the next time you tell the story, it's 3 or 4 shots. Right. And then all of a sudden your story becomes so embellished because you got excitement telling other people that the original story. And you even see like famous actors and actresses and musicians that are being interviewed over the years, and they use the same stories or like PR, like approved, like, you know, backstories that they don't even know if over time telling the same story 200 times has changed and what the actual truth is, or the truth that they believe now. So it's like, and then you multiply that by how often we're talking about every news outlet, every developing story, everything. And then the news have just adapted, because at the end of the day, money speaks. So it's like they know how to play their fucking game, and they're being somewhat informative, and that's the point. Is there's a little bit of information, people will latch onto it and then speak their mind.
I don't want to get too outlandish by saying this, but I feel like it's important. Like, the Bible wasn't originally the Bible of what we know it today. You know what I mean? Like, again, we've said this before because it's such an important thing. It's like the media becomes a bad game of telephone, of regurgitated information that takes so many twists and turns, and eventually by the other side, it's, it might not be factually true.
It's a game of telephone with everyone speaking loudly next to you.
Yeah, literally.
That's what it is. You're playing a game of telephone, and you're in a crowd of people. Like, that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So like I was saying before, like, the ideas of like Kim Jong-un and stuff like that. I'm just like, I might have a thought.
Oh yeah, that's where we started.
Like, I don't really engage in that stuff, honestly. Like, I barely have, like, for a couple weeks I had no energy. Like, I would see people posting, and I would like normally be like up in them comments and shit, and I'm like, dude, I don't have the spoons for it today. I'm over it. Now I can manage like one comment, but if there's even like one rebuttal, I'm like, I'm out. Like, I just can't. It's too much. Like, again, as a person that does like rely on facts and wants to be informed and only speak as an informed person, I'm like, dude, I'm crippled by the current state of affairs. So I'm just not, like.
Oh, good for you, man. That's more than a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, dude,
Oh, go ahead.
No, that's what I just.
Oh, I was gonna say. Well, I think since we're closing in on the 2-hour mark, and a perfect segue to say, you have experienced a guest feature of the least informative podcast. I would like to just kind of trail off, because typically we hold these podcasts to about 2 hours, and I literally, like, I'm going through my topics. I have like 3-4 more topics like that I could have gone through.
Yeah, same.
But we like to keep people in here. So
it was good. Some nice genuine conversation from lost pals.
Yeah, seriously, long loss with both time and distance, and
dude, the last time I probably saw Nick, which is just funny. I don't want to go back to the beginning where I said, "Hey, it's been a long time since we've seen you," but I hadn't even graduated high school yet. I don't think. Yeah, so it's funny. Yeah. So it's funny, like,
and
how long
now you're married, like,
yeah, dude, that's what he was like. Oh, my wife. I was like, what?
Yeah, dude, it's
like,
it's been
Ice got married.
Dude, 8 years since 7-8 years since I've probably seen you, 10 years since I've known you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
which is baffling, dude. Yeah. Baffling. So, Nick, feel free to take this time to put your plugs in, and then we'll go into
let the people know what you got going on.
Well, before I get to that, I want to say, thank you guys for having me on here. Like, you guys are dope. Like, to me, it has always amazed me, like, how much creativity you guys have, how much motivation you guys have to get projects, like, fucking, like, getting music out there, getting multiple podcasts, your big fucking JB shows, like, the response.
Thank you.
Dude, the fucking response you get is insane. Like, me and Brett both, like, we've done a lot of work ourselves, and oftentimes, kind of falls in deaf ears. We don't, like, Brett is criminally underappreciated. Like,
absolutely.
And he never gets the shout outs and respect he deserves. And, I mean, you guys' work is amazing too, obviously, but I'm like, it is, like, the music is obviously impressive, but, like, the amount of engagement you guys get from your audience, from your people, like, you just know what works for them, and they fucking love it, dude. Like, so thank all you guys for watching. If you guys are watching, if you're listening, thank you guys. JB and Brendan have put on, like, just an amazing project here, like, repeatedly. You guys keep doing it, like, one project after the next, and that's just, like, beyond impressive to see you guys just, like, keep knocking out the park. And just, like, too many people, I think, as they get older, lose their creative juices, or, like, stop pursuing creative avenues and stuff. And I think that can really cause people to kind of suffer from some mental health issues, like, where they're just not getting that creativity out or using it anymore. So you guys,
you got to flex that muscle.
That.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. So I love that you guys keep flexing it, and it's always fucking entertaining and interesting. So
we definitely fucking appreciate that. We definitely, dude, that's awesome. To hear something like that, like, this is what gets us going. Like, this is what gets the creative juices flowing, and, like, when we get a response from you or a response for our audience, like, we love doing the shit, and we love having people like you that have, like, you know, such an interesting story to tell, and just I don't know, like a immersing personality that we can get along with. So we appreciate you as well.
And it's funny because we all have like a similar background with music and being performers, that like even beforehand I was talking to Brandon about having you on, and I'm like, just a heads up, like, this isn't going to be like our typical guest, because most of our guests are all kind of the same New England white male, like that's, and then that's it, like all having normal jobs, all having no real freelance artists or models or anything. So like I was like, just a heads up, like this is going to be a fucking interesting episode on the sheer fact that we can work well together just with our personalities and the way we interact with each other. But we're going to have very varied opinions on stuff where, you know, something like we might get excited about a 6ix9ine and you might be indifferent. But then in the same note, you're flipping it around and educating us on stuff that we don't even know the baseline to. And that's your world. Do you know what I mean? But whether it be aromanticism or OnlyFans, like it's a foreign place for us, but then to you, it's home. So it's like, it's cool to have us be on the same stage, metaphorically and realistically, and on top of it, be in completely different lanes and be able to educate each other on you know, like our lifestyle, I guess.
Definitely, man. Like you guys, I always appreciate you guys, like, creativity for always like trying new shit and getting like just unique ways, dude. Like bars for days, even as far back as like, dude, like you guys have always been like pushing it, like not just like, hey, I'm doing music, like I'm doing music and music videos, and we're doing behind the scenes stuff, and we're doing like, you guys are always just cooking up like new shit, and it's like so dope, dude. Like, remember, like we never got it off the ground, which was unfortunate because it was coming out, but we were working on the
Cypher, dude.
Music video.
with that Zelda beat.
Yeah, we're gonna do a choose your own destiny fucking music video. And
dude, for people that don't know, this was the sickest thing. So we had an instrumental made by D. Dill Dwyer's brother. Yeah. And we had already created an interactive cipher where you could click which rapper you want to hear a verse from on the same beat. So we were 4 or 5 people in the studio. You click which one you want to hear, and then you go see that verse. And if you want to go back to the beginning of the video, it clicks a link, and then it's almost like a click to play adventure.
Like Bandersnatch.
You know, it's the best fucking, what we should do is a click to play adventure where you go down a woods path, film it, and then you interact with different people. And then Nick, who was formerly or still known as Lumberjack to us, like was going to be the Lumberjack of the woods that we interact with. And he was going to say, he had a whole verse of like which path to take. And then like each person was either deceiving you or telling you the truth, and you had to pick. And then with rapping the whole way through the woods, and then it just kind of like it just became like more of a headache to a coordination headache than anything. But
well, what really happened is they all heard my verse and they were like, "Fuck, I can't beat that." So it's a wrap.
Lumberjack already topped it, so we ain't got shit to do. Like,
so there was some good verses, man. People had good shit. That was a super cool beat. That's one of my favorite songs I've done just for fun and stuff like that, even though we didn't get to the video. The song is dope. Shout out to D. Gwilyn and his brother. And, all the verses that I heard from that were dope, too.
Oh, yeah. We had some crazy verses on that. I believe everyone's had a really crazy, like, because I think us three plus Dill all wrote one, and then it was just dependent on all the other people to follow suit.
Correct, yeah.
But, Nick, where can the people find you?
Oh, yeah. So, most prevalently, I would say I'm on Instagram, like, publicly. So just at Nik Hampshire on Instagram. I don't post the feed too often, especially right now because it's hard to get content, but I'm usually on the stories pretty often, and definitely check for my secrets and questions because that's always really fun. My YouTube, I've been updating with aromantic videos like once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending. So I'm a little bit on there. Facebook, if you know me, add me on Facebook, or you can follow me on Facebook too. I think it's pretty open so that people can just like follow. I'm pretty active on there as well. And obviously my OnlyFans, if you guys are really trying to, see my dick or whatever. OnlyFans.com/raggeddick. 1D, R-A-G-G.
You're going to be up to 170 subscribers after this.
So for those of you tuning in, this is Torn Between Two Brothers. We're closing out. The biggest thing for us is to just any interaction really helps the podcast. So if you please like, comment, subscribe. That's the biggest thing. Our YouTube is the market we're trying to push the most because we feel that's where we get the most engagement, and we will get the most engagement just from the simple facts that YouTube has the most discoverable platform. But the best thing is we're on every other platform. You can find us Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and for our audio listeners, every podcast streaming thing, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, literally anything. Like there's probably 10 other ones that I don't even know the names
Literally.
of because they're so outlandish.
The audio pushes out.
They literally email me and say, hey, by the way, your podcast is on, podcast.org. And I'm like, okay, fine. I guess we'll start from there. So, like I said, the biggest thing is please like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. That's the word of mouth, I think, has been the biggest growth within the podcast. Is just people telling people like, hey, like, check this out. We want, like, we think he's funny. We think you would find the humor or the guests interesting. And
yeah,
I guess that's all I got. Really,
definitely a special thank you to Nick. Thank you for having.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on and just being a great guest. And
anytime, guys. Anytime.
Hopefully we'll see you soon when coronavirus is over and you're back in New Hampshire and we're in Cali. One or the other, right?
Yeah, man. Yo, come through, man. I'm right by the
Hopefully not at the same time.
Not at the same time, no. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Okay.
Take care. Have a great night and stay safe to all of you and your families.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thanks so much. Peace.
Thank you.
So